Do you want to master all the HTML5 tags? Then you have come to the right place. Hello everyone, my name is Sandeep, and in this video I'm going to explain all the HTML5 tags one by one in alphabetical order. So let's get started. Before starting, if you are new to this channel, consider subscribing to our channel because we create a lot of technical videos which will be helpful for you. Alright, with this, let's start. First, what I'm going to do is, I'm using here Visual Studio Code, which is a very powerful editor. And with this particular editor, what is happening is that you have inbuilt plugin. For example, this editor also contains a plugin called embed. And embed makes our work a lot easier when you code HTML or CSS. For example, you don't have to code a lot of code. Rather, you will type some common things or common words and you will see that you will automatically get a lot of codes. So it makes your job easy. For example, if I just give exclamation mark and enter or exclamation mark followed by tab, you see that automatically you get this particular boilerplate and you don't have to type these many tags. Now, if you know HTML or if you even don't know HTML, please note that for HTML, we have a starting tag and then we have ending tag. For example, we have in angular brackets HTML and then we have closing of HTML. You see here at start we have this HTML, right? And then we have this particular ending of HTML. Similarly, we have this head tag, which is starting of head tag. Then we have closing of head tag. So I think most of you would be aware of this, but in case if some of you are not aware about this, please note we have starting and ending tag, and few of the tags does not have ending tag. For example, we have HR tag or for example BR tag and so on, which does not have any ending tag. I will explain all of these in this particular video. Now the first tag which I want to tell you is that doctype. Now you see the first line which we have written here is doctype HTML. So let's say that if I remove everything from here, now you see this is the first line which we have to write, and this explains the document type. In case of HTML5, since we are learning HTML5, or rather we are learning all the tags of HTML5 in this particular course, so the first line should always be exclamation mark doctype HTML inside these angular brackets. Alright, and this doctype can be in capital letters or it can be in small letter or even it can be in mixed case. Alright, so this is the first line and this is the first tag. Now the next tag which I want to show you is that we have comment tag. So for example, we know that all the things, that is all the major portion we write inside the body tag. So let's say that if I just write here hello, welcome, and if I just save this, let me just open this with live preview or live server. Now let me just close the previous one. You see here in the output we get hello, welcome, and if I just want to give a particular comment so that a particular coder, my peer coder, can understand what I wanted to code here. So for example, let's say that if I just write here comment, that is opening of angular bracket, exclamation mark, 2 hyphens, right? And then I can just give this is a comment. Alright, so this is how we give comment, that is we have to give exclamation mark, then 2 hyphens, and at end we have to give 2 hyphens, and in between we have to provide our comment, right? And at start we have this particular angular bracket and then this is the closing angular bracket. So this is comment. And if you're using Visual Studio Code, then the shortcut is Ctrl K and U. Alright, so this is for comment or uncomment. I'll just show you. If you see here, this is already a comment. If I just want to uncomment it, I can just give here Ctrl K and U. You see now it is not a comment. Now you see here it says this is a comment. Alright, and if I just want to comment it out, I can just give Ctrl K U, and again this is a comment, or you can just give Ctrl K C for comment or uncomment. Alright, so the first one we have is doctype, the second one we have is comment. Now after this we have all the list in alphabetical order, which I'll explain to you one by one. So this video is going to be a very long video, so get a cup of coffee or tea, whatever you like, and get ready. Now the next tag we have is a tag, and this is also called as anchor tag. This is used to link two documents, or it is used to link one part of the document to other part of the document, or you can also link two web pages and so on. So let's say I have a link. For example, here, let's say if I just give here tutorial brain, or if I just say welcome to tutorial brain. Alright, and what I want is if the user click on somewhere here, that is welcome to tutorial brain, anywhere, if the user clicks on this, it should lead to website tutorialbrain.com. For this, what I can do is I can just use a tag. So I'll just give here a and tab, or you can also give a and then enter in Visual Studio Code, or manually what you can do is you can just give a, and you see that you have automatically the closing tab, and it is already given through this particular editor. Alright, so this one I'll just close it, and in this case you see here we have href attribute, and this attribute is very important, and inside this particular attribute you can just give the location to which you want to go. For example, what I want is I can just copy this welcome to tutorial brain, and here I can just place it to this particular location, and I want to make sure that it should go to https://www.tutorialbrain.com. Let me just remove the capital H, and now you see if I just save this, now if I just go to my output, now if the user clicks on this particular link, you see if I just click on this particular link, I'm going to tutorialbrain.com, or if I just directly click on this particular link without giving right click, you see, let me just click here, and now it goes to tutorialbrain.com. Alright, so this is a very powerful tag, and here there are a lot of attributes which you can use along with this particular tag. For example, you have download attribute, you also have href, which I've already explained, we have hreflang, we have media, type, ping, we have refer policy, and so on. So if you want to know about all these attributes, what I'm going to do is I'll just give a link in the description of the video. So with this, let's focus on our next tag. The next tag we have is abbr tag, which is for abbreviation tag, and it is used as a short name for words or phrases. So for this, we have to use abbr tag, and I'll just give here abbr and tab or enter, and you see here, for example, let's say that I just want to give WTC, and for this we know that the full form is World Trade Center. Now what I want is, what I can give here is, for example, I can just give here the World Trade Center, that is WTC is situated in New York. I hope I'm right. Okay, if I just save this, go to my live preview, and here you see that the WTC is situated in New York, and if you hover over to this WTC, you should get this particular title. Let me just check why I'm not getting this World Trade Center. 1 minute. Yeah, you can see that now I'm getting World Trade Center. Alright, so this is abbr tag. Let's focus on our next tag. The next tag we have is address tag. Address tag is used to provide address related information, for example, contact information of the author and so on. And for this, you can use this particular tag inside the body tag, or either footer tag, or you can also use this particular tag inside the article tag. I'll explain about all these tags once we move further in this particular course. So let's take some examples. What I can do is, here I can just give here address tag, right? And inside this, you can just give, for example, like written by Sandeep. And here I can also give br tag, and br tag is used to break the flow. I'll explain about br tag later on, but at this moment, please note br is used to break the flow. Now in the output, you see it says written by Sandeep. And now if you see here carefully, this particular text is in italic. So if you're using address tag, inside this information, whatever you have, it will be in italic by default. Alright, if you see here, I can also provide some other details. For example, I can just give the author name or contact us information. For example, I can just give here, let's say, contact us at, let's say I'll just give here a tag, and I'll just give tab or enter. And I think there is some issues here. Since embed is causing some problem here, let me just do one thing. So here I'll just segregate it properly. So I'll just say contact us at, and again let me just try a and tab, and now you see here it gives me proper code. So sometimes you might run out of issues when you're using plugins like embed or any other plugin, and that is one disadvantage also. But you have to be careful with your plugins. Whatever you are using, make sure like you use it for proper benefit. Now you see I can just give a link. For example, I can just give here mail to tutorialbrain.com, or you can just give here contact@tutorialbrain.com, and here you can just give here, for example, author's name. For example, I can just give here Sandeep Kumar, and if I just save this, let me just go to the output, and you see here it says contact us at Sandeep Kumar, and if the user clicks on this particular link, it will open the mail, and by default the to mail should be contact@tutorialbrain.com. Similarly, you can provide address. For example, you can just give the actual location and so on. So here you can just give, for example, I can just give again another br tag, and I can just give here, for example, let's say that house 67 and then floor 2nd ABC colony. Okay, and I'll just give here Bangalore and India. Alright, now you see here it also gives this particular information as well. So this is how you can use address tag. So the next tag is area tag. Area tag is a new tag which is added in HTML5, and it is used to create a clickable area or hotspot in a map. So area tag is always used inside a map. Let's take an example. For this, I'll just give image tag, and I'll just give an image, and I'll make sure that in a particular portion of the image, if the user clicks on that particular hotspot or the small area, it will lead to a particular position or a particular place. So let's say that if I just give here source, and let's take out an image from Google. So I'll just give here stock images, and let me just open somewhere. Let me just open this particular website, that is Pixels, and let me just open this particular image itself, and this is the location of this image. I'll just make sure like if I just open the image in the new tab, so this is the particular location of the image. So if I just copy this particular URL, and let me just give this particular URL, and in alt I can just give here, this is like an alternative text, so I can just give here, for example, girl with what is this, I mean, or I can just give red background. Alright, and now what I'm going to do is I'll just use a particular use map. So use map, and let me just give the name of this use map. So I'll just give here hash, and then I'll just give here girl. Okay, and let me just give a particular map. So let me just create a map, and just inside this particular map we have area. So what I can do is I can just give here, for example, area, or you see here instead of this, let me just delete this. What I can do is I can just give here map, and then this is called as child selector in this particular editor, and I can just give here area, and if I just give tab or enter, you see automatically it creates this particular tag for me. And this is the beauty of this particular embed plugin, which is used inside this Visual Studio Code. Alright, so I have this map name, let me give a particular map name. For example, I can just give here girl, or I can just give something like girl. Whatever we have given here, I'll just give here girl. And then area shape, let me just select a particular area. So I can give rectangle, circle, or any other particular shape. So at this moment, I'll just give here rectangle. And we have to give the coordinates. So coordinates is x1, y1, and then we have x2, y2. So it is like top left coordinates and then bottom right coordinates. Okay, so let me just give, for example, 0, 0, let's say 82, and I'll just give, let's say 126. And here I can also add the alternative also if you want, else you can leave it. All right, and let me just save this. Since this particular image is quite big, what I'm going to do is, let me just style this particular image. So first, I'll just use style attribute for this. And this is part of CSS. If you don't know about style attribute and all, so it's not a problem. But at this moment, just to make sure that we are getting proper result, I'll just style it. So I'll just give here style. And I'll just give here, for example, width is equal to, let's give 14 pixel, or 14 pixel will be too less. I think we can just give 140 pixel. All right, and instead of width, I think we can also give height, but it's okay. We'll just give width and we'll also give height. So let's give height as, let's say 120 pixel. And let me just save this. Okay, now let me just go to this particular output. Now you see here we have this particular image, and now this particular image is little small, right? And let me just make sure, like whatever we have here, I'll just give a br tag. The image is coming properly, right? You see here there are some portion, like here there is no clickable area, you can see here. But as soon as I come to this particular portion, you see, so this is x1, y1, then this is x2 and y2, right? So here, if I just click, it will lead to a particular website. Now in this case, you see here, I have not given a particular website. So if I just give here, for example, tutorialbrain.com, and let me just give it https://www.tutorialbrain.com. And now if I just save this, now you see, if I just click here, it will lead me to tutorialbrain.com. All right, so this is how you can use this particular area tag. And let me just come back to the output, and here you see we have map, and then inside this we have area. So basically what I've done is I've just taken an image, and I'll explain about the image tag later on. At this moment, do not worry about image tag. And this is the image which I have taken, and I have styled this particular image from here to here. You see we have this image tag, and then we have used the style attribute. We have set the width and height. And even if you don't know about these, do not worry at this moment, because these are part of CSS, that is styling. And then on that particular image, what I've done is I've just created a map with the name as girl, and the same one we are using here. You see here the same map name I'm using here. For example, if I just give here map, that is use map is girl1. If I save it, now you see it is not working, right? So you have to make sure that this particular name, that is whatever you are giving in use map, should match with the map name. So you have given here girl, and it should be same as girl, right? Now you see here, now it is working. All right, if I click on this particular place, that is hotspot, it will lead me to tutorialbrain.com. So let me just come back, and you see here with area we have used the attribute called shape, codes, that is coordinates. Then we have href. In the same way, we can also use alt or href lang and so on. And for this, if you want to understand the complete attributes which you can use with this particular area tag, then you can go to this particular link on this particular screen at this moment, and you will be able to see all the information you need. At the same time, you can also go to the description of the video and you will get the particular link as well. Alright, let's move forward, and the next tag we have is article tag. The article tag is used to create a separate block or section, and it does not depend on other sections. And it is same like newspaper blog or forum or newspaper article and so on. Let's take some examples. So here I'll be having an article tag. So first let me just do one thing. Since we coded this particular information, that is image related details, inside this address tag, it is better we'll remove from here and we'll keep it outside the address tag. Alright, first, and you see here it is not going to do any changes with respect to your output. And now let's talk about article tag. So I'll just give here article, and you see inside the article I can add any other tag. For example, I'm going to discuss about so many tags. For example, we have h2 tags. So let's say that if I want, I can just give here h2, and here I can just say I am inside h2. And if I just save this, now you see it says I am inside h2, and this is a particular section, this is a particular article which is not dependent on other pages of this particular website. You can also give some other tag, for example p tag, which we are going to discuss further in this particular code. And I can just say like I am also inside this article. Alright, and you see it is also displayed in the output. So it is a new tag which is added in HTML5, and it is also a useful tag as well. So let's talk about our next tag. The next tag we have is a cite tag, and it is also used to create a separate block or section with respect to its surrounding. But in this case, the content will be related to its surrounding. Let's take an example. So now I'll just come down and here, so I'll just say aside, and here let's say that first I'll style this particular aside tag. So I'll just give your style is equal to, let's say that I want to give font related details, so I'll just give your font style, and let me just give font style as, for example, Georgia. I like this particular font, and I'll just give here, for example, color is, let's say, red. If you want, you can float it to left. I'll explain all these in detail in my CSS course. So if you want to understand about float, and then we have CSS colors, then we have CSS tables and so on, then you can check my CSS course which I'm going to upload soon. Alright, now let me just add a length also, or let's say that not length, let me just add width, and I can just give, for example, 40%, and I can just give here padding, let's say padding right, and I'll just give, for example, 5 pixel. So this is what I have done, and I think there is some issue here. By mistake I gave, that is instead of semicolon I gave a comma. Here also I should give semicolon, and now I think it is fine. And what I'm going to do is I can just write some dummy text here. So let's say that I can just give here a lorem, and if I just give tab, I'm able to write some dummy text here. So this is all happening because of this particular embed plugin, right? So if I just save this, now at this moment, if I just go to the output, you see this is the content which I have. Since I have styled this, that is the reason it is showing in red color. And here, just after this aside, you see here, if I just add a particular paragraph, for which we have to use p tag. I'll explain about p tag when I'll go to p tag. At this moment, please remember p is for paragraph. And again, I'll just give here lorem, and if I just give tab, let me just save it, and if I just go to my output, now you see here this particular tab, this particular section is in a different color. I just made it in different color so that you can differentiate between these two. So you see this is a particular area, and this area is related to this particular area. The next tag we have is audio tag, which is used to embed an audio to the website. And we have 3 types of audio file which we can use using this particular process. We have MP3 files, we have OGG files, and we have WAV file format. And out of these 3 file format, MP3 file format is the most common, and most of the browsers support MP3 files. So for that, we have to use the audio. So I'll just give here audio, and here we have to give the source, that is the path from where the source, the audio source will be present. So for this, I have this particular audio source. So I'll just copy this and I'll place to my particular folder, that is HTML course. And now I'll just give the same file name because it is present under this particular folder, right? So here I'll just give here source as cartoon running. And if I just save this, you might feel that you will be having an audio. So let me just show you. And here you see that we don't have any audio. We don't have any audio control. So for that, we have to give here audio controls. So I'll just give here controls, and if I just give enter, now you see here, now this particular source information I have to remove from here, and it should be present here, and this particular audio has to be removed, and this particular src should be present under source tag. So for that, I'll just give here source. I think it is not working, so let me just do one thing. I'll just give here source, and now you see here, if I just give source and then cartoon running.mp3, now if I just save this, now let me just come here, and now you see we have this particular audio, but we don't have controls. What I have to do is I have to just give here the type. So I have to give type as audio, and I'll just give here mp3 because this is mp3 file. Now if I come to this particular browser, I should be having this file, audio file. I can see that still it is great. So let me just check if I have done any mistake. So it is audio controls, and I think it is fine, audio and then controls, and here also we have audio, and here we have one mistake. Actually it should be source space src, right? And then we have this closing tag, right? So if I just save this, now let me just go to our browser, and now you see that if I just click on this particular play button, you see that this particular audio is running. You can also mute it, for example, from here, or you can just, you have some other options. For example, you can change the playback speed, you can download it as well, right? So you can just explore from here. The next tag we have is b tag, which is called bold tag. And please note, it is not same as strong tag. That is, we have a tag called strong tag, which I'll show you later on. But this is different from strong tag in such a way that bold tag does not make a particular text or phrase as important. So let's take an example. Here it is very simple. If I just give here, for example, welcome to tutorial brain. Now if I just save this, now you see here it is coming like this. First let me just add a break, that is, I'll just add a br tag, and now you see it is coming here, that is welcome to tutorial brain. And now if I just want to bold it, I'll just give here b tag, that is under b tag I'll just give here b, and let me just bring it inside this particular b tag, and now if you just see the output, now it is bold. The next tag we have is base tag, which acts as a base URL for all the relative URL. So it is a like default URL for your relative URLs. Let's clear this out with example. So let me just come out from here, and please note we add normally base URL in the head section, that is under the head tag. So here we have this head tag, and here just inside this we have to add this base URL. So let's say that I can add after title, so I can just give here base, and let's say that my base URL is https://www.tutorialbrain.com, and I can also add a target. Okay, this is optional. So if I just give target is equal to, let's say, underscore self. So it is going to create, or the link is going to create on the same URL. That means it is not going to create a separate tab. Alright. So this is my base URL. And now what I'm going to do is, let's say that I add another image. So let me just come down, and for adding an image we have img tag, which I'll talk about later. So I'll just say img, and here let me just give a source URL. So I know that we have a particular image under this particular location, that is editor underscore HTML and / we have cake.jpg. Okay, so this is the location from which, I mean, the image should be picked up. Alright, and I can just give a random cake. Alright, and now you see, if I just save this, and you see automatically it is going to pick this particular cake from here. So again, after welcome to tutorial brain, I can just give a br tag, or you can also give some other styling, but just to keep it simple, I'm just adding a br tag. And now you see that we have welcome to tutorial brain and this particular image. Now this particular image is not present at this particular location directly, but the base URL is tutorialbrain.com, which we have set here. So that means by default it is like this. So it is exactly like this. So if we give something like this, it is same as using editor underscore HTML / cake.jpg, and you see, if I just execute this, I'm getting the same output. Let me just clear it out again. So let me just copy this, or I can also repeat this also, and here let me just remove all these. And now if I just run this, now you see that I'm getting the same, same image, because the base URL for this particular location is tutorialbrain.com. The next tag we have is BDI tag, which is bidirectional isolation. So let's say that if you don't know the direction of a particular text, then you can define that particular text under BDI tag, because we don't know the direction. It can be from right to left or left to right. So let's clear it out with help of an example. So let's say that I have a UL tag, that is unordered list. I'll talk about this particular tag later on. So I have this UL tag. Inside this, below this, I have a child called li tag, and let me multiply this 3 times. And if I just give enter, now you see that because of this emmet, we are getting this particular code, that is, we have UL tag, and under this, since I have done li multiplied by 3, that is the reason we are getting this li tag 3 times under this UL tag. Now here I can write something like this. For example, I'll just write some random text, and now you see here that it is a random text at this moment. And suppose I don't know, like we can have some text which is non-English, or for which we don't know the direction of the text. So what we can do is, we can just place this inside BDI tag. Okay, and let me just copy this, place it here. Similarly, now I can do like this. Okay, let me just give some random something, and if I just save this, now in the output, now you see that I have these particular text. Now the only difference is that we don't know the direction of this text at this moment, since it is plain English words, that is random words. So there is no need to give BDI tag. But for some reason, let's say we are into some other language, for example Urdu, or let's say Hebrew and all, where we don't know whether the direction is left to right or right to left. So I know for sure that in Urdu the direction is right to left, right? So in that case, those type of languages, they require to have BDI tag as well. So this is all about BDI tag. The next tag we have is BDO tag, which is called as bidirectional override. It is used in case you want to override the direction of the text, and it is especially helpful if the direction is from right to left. Let's clear it out with help of an example. So let's say that if I just write here, for example, let me just come down, and here let's say that I have video tag, and here let's say I can just give the direction as RTL. So by default the direction will be left to right, that is LTR. But let's say if I want to override that to RTL, then I can just refer here as direction is equal to RTL. And for example, if I just give here welcome to this course, and let me just copy this and place it here, and if I just give here for example left to right, that is LTR, you can notice the difference. You see here, this particular text is from left to right and this particular text is from right to left. Alright, so just add a br tag here. Okay, now go to the output, and this is the output you get. The next tag is blockquote tag. So if you want to quote a block of text or block of code or block of phrase from another source, then you can use blockquote tag. Let's take this with an example. So for this I'll just give here blockquote, and here I can just cite the reference. So I'll just give here cite is equal to, I can just give a particular website name. For example, let's say that google.com, it is the easiest one. And if I just give www.google.com, and in this particular block code, what I can do is I can just write something. For example, I can just write for example lorem, and I just give enter, and by default it created a lorem ipsum dummy text, right? If I go to my output, now you see that this is the one that is lorem ipsum, and you see that there is some space at start. So this means that it is a block of text. Alright. The next tag is body tag, and of course by now we know that all of the real content is inside the body tag apart from few of the tags. For example, if I just come up, you see doctype is not inside the body tag. Then we have head tag which is not inside body tag. Then we have some title tag, base tag, we have meta, and all these tags are not inside because these are not directly displayed to the user, but actual content which is directly displayed to the user is always present inside the body tag, and we don't have to take any example of body tag because all of these codes are inside the body tag. So let's move further. The next tag is br tag, which is for break, and this is used to break the flow of paragraph or block. For example, you have a very long paragraph, you can break down into a smaller paragraph with the help of br tag. For example, let's say that I have a particular paragraph, so for that I have p tag, and in paragraph let's say that I can just write like Agra is a place in Uttar Pradesh in North India of Indian region. And I can also say that it is a place where iconic Taj Mahal is located or present. Alright, anything. And again I can write anything else here. For example, I can just write it was built long back ago by Shah Jahan. Alright, now if I run it, at this moment you see it is a very big text. It should be coming here. 1 minute. I think I did not save it, or I saved it at a wrong place. I mean, this should come here. Let me just copy it here so that everything is in flow, because it will be easy for you to correlate what exactly I'm saying. And now you see here, this is the place where the changes are there. Now you see that this is a big line. So if I want to break the flow of this paragraph, I can just give a break here. So I'll just give br tag, and again I can just give br tag as well if you want. And please note, br tag does not have end tag in case of HTML5. And now you see that now it is divided, or it is broken down into 3 sentences instead of one single paragraph. If you want to create clickable buttons like submit, OK, reset, cancel, etc., then you can use buttons. Let me just show you how you can use button tag. For this, you can use button, right? And I can just give the type as button. So I'll just give the attribute. So the type attribute will be having button. And here what I can do is, look, here using HTML, you cannot submit a form, or you cannot create a button using which the user can submit to the database, but you can create the structure of the button. So actual data will be stored using programming language, for example, PHP, Python, Java, etc. But using HTML, you can just create the design of that particular button. So after that, what I can do is I can just give, for example, let's say submit button. Now let me just show you first. If I just save it like this, now you see, if I just click here, nothing happens. You have just created a submit button. Now what I'm going to do is I'll just write, for example, here, that is on click. What I have to do is I'll just give, for example, let's say document dot write. So when the user will click on that particular button, it should say something. So for that purpose, I'm using on click equals document dot write. And here, let me just close this first, and let me just give here, for example, I can just write here that form submitted or something like that. So I'll just give here form submitted, and again after this particular parenthesis, let me just close it. So I think there is some problem, because you see here it is showing some error. So let me just check here. So it is button type is equal to button, on click is equal to document dot write, and then form submitted. Let me do one thing. I'll just change it to single quote because it is present inside the double quote. And now you see here it is fine. Since here we were giving double quotes, so it was not able to understand properly. So that is the reason here we have to give single quote. Or what you can do is here you can give single quote like this, okay, and here you can give double quote. It is okay, right? This will also work. So let me just save it, and if I just go to my output, now if I click on this particular submit button, you see it says form submitted, right? So let me just come back here, and I'll just again open this with live server. Let me just close the previous one, and this is where we were. So this is all about this particular button. Similarly, you can change anything. For example, here you can write anything. For example, you can create another button. Let me just show you as well. So instead of submit button, I can have, let's say, cancel button or any other button. For example, let's say I'll just say like cancel, or you can just say selected as well for select button. Now, or I can just say like cancel, and here I'll just say like, for example, cancel, or here I'll just say cancel, and the name of the button will be cancel, right? And let me just do one thing. This time I'll just do double quote here, and my single quote will be present here, just to show you that both will work, right? And now you see I have this cancel. So if I'll click on this particular cancel, let me just click on this cancel button, and it says cancelled, right? And this is happening because we have given here that document.write is equal to cancelled. All right. So this is how you can use button tag. Now there are a lot of attributes which we can use with button tag. For example, disabled, we have name, type, and so on. So if you want to know about the complete list of all the attributes which are used with this particular tag, then I will provide you this particular URL, please go to this particular URL and you will find all the necessary information. With this, let's proceed further and talk about our next tag. You can draw 2D graphics on a web page using HTML5 canvas and JavaScript. So first, let me just give a br tag. Alright, and here I'll just give canvas, and I'll just add a particular canvas ID also. And if you don't know about ID or classes, don't get disheartened, because these are not part of actual tags. These are all attributes which are used with these tags. And if you want to understand about all these attributes, then you have to take the complete HTML tutorials or HTML course which I am going to publish in my YouTube channel. So stay tuned, and when I publish that particular video, please go ahead and watch that video in case if you don't know about IDs. So if I just give here canvas, and if I just give here hash, let's give the name of the ID as my canvas. So using this particular image, you see the name of this particular canvas is canvas tag, and if I just go to end, press tab, or if I just give enter, now you see here it says canvas and ID is equal to my canvas. So either I can type everything, for example like this, that is canvas ID equals name of that particular ID, so my canvas, and again I have to close it, and then I have this ending canvas. Or it is better, instead of this I can just use the inbuilt feature of embed, and I can just give canvas, and for ID I have to just give hash and the name of the ID, so that is my canvas. Alright, and it is going to create the same tag, right? And here let me just add the width and height. So at this moment, let me just show you. If I just save it like this, now you see here, let me just open again. So let me just open with live server. Let's come down. You see here it has particular space. So let me just show you again what I mean. So if I just comment out this, so I'll just give here Control KU to comment out, and now you see here, now at this moment there is no space after cancel. But if I just come back here and if I just do uncomment, that is Control KU again, and if I save it, now you see here there is an extra space for canvas. And just to show you, I mean just to prove that, what I can do is I'll just add a particular width as well, or I can also style it to a particular color. So if I just give here style is equal to, let's say that I'll just add border is equal to 2 pixel. I mean border is 2 pixel, and I'll just give, let's say, color as solid, or what I can do is I can just give here solid slate blue. If I just save this, you see that I have this particular canvas, right? If you want, you can change the width, height, and so on. So there are a lot of things which you can do with canvas, and I am going to create a complete tutorial on HTML5 canvas because it is a very vast topic. And once I add this video in our channel, I'll just give the link of that particular video in the description. If you want to master HTML5 canvas, you can go ahead and understand from that as well. So let's move further. The next tag is caption tag, using which you can provide a caption for your table. So normally you have one caption for your table. Let's see how we can achieve that. So let's say that you have a table, and to create a table you should be aware about table tag, and I'll tell you about table tag later on when we move to alphabet T. So at this moment I'll just give table, and I'll just create another child inside this. I mean I'll create a child with the name as tr, so it is for table row, right? And inside this I'll just create table head, right? So let me just give tab, and now you see here we have this particular table which has table row. And if I just give Control Z, now if I just give th multiplied by 2, give enter, you see I'm able to create two heading, table heading. So let's say that the first one is big data, and the next one we have is, let's say, mainframe. Now what I'm going to do is, first let me just copy this and I'll just paste it here, and here this time instead of th I'll be having td, that is description of that particular data. So I'll just say, for example, let's say Spark, and here let me just give, for example, COBOL, right? Similarly, I can add another table row, and this time let me just add here, for example, Scala, and here I can just give db2. And now you see, if I just execute this, if I just save this, you see this is the table I have, that is big data mainframe. So don't get confused that this is not a table. And just to show it clearly, I'll just say, let's say width is equal to 30%, and I'll also give the border. So I'll just give border is equal to, let's say, like 4. Okay, let me just save it, and now you see here this is a table, and in this particular table at this moment there is no caption. So if you want to add a caption, what you can do is you can just come here, and here you can just give caption, and you can just add something, for example, tutorial brain courses. Okay, and if I just save it, now you see here we have this particular caption down here, right? So let me just add a break, that is line break here, and if you want you can add a line break. You see here we have a line break. You can add multiple line break if you want. Okay, it is up to you. Now if I just go to my output, you see I have tutorial brain courses, and then we have big data mainframe and then corresponding data, right? So this is all about caption. The next tag we have is cite tag, which is used to display the title of the work. Let's take an example. So first let me just take a particular image. Let's say that I was having an image somewhere, right? Yeah, I can see that we have used this particular image, right? So let me just copy it here, and what I'm gonna do is I can just write something like image by author Sandeep, or I'll just say like the pulpy cake, and here I'll just give cite. So I'll just give your cite. Sorry for that. Let me just give your cite, and I'll just give the pulpy cake. Okay, and now you'll see that whatever you have written inside the cite, it will be in italic form. Let me just save it, and now you see here it says the pulpy cake by author Sandeep, and since it is coming in the same line, and the reason is because it is an inline item and it is not a block one. Now if you want to change this particular behavior, what you can do is you can just add this inside a p tag, because p tag is block, right? So now if I just save it, now you see here it is coming here, that is the pulpy cake by Sandeep, right? So in this way you can use cite tag. The next tag is code tag. So if you want to display or define a text like a computer code, then you can use code tag. So for example, if I just duplicate this, so here instead of cite, if I just give here code, and you see here if I just give here code, now this particular text becomes like a computer code. All right, so I'll just say like the code. Alright, if I just run this, now you see it says the HTML code is simple, and you see the HTML code looks like a computer code. So this is a simple tag for computer code. The next tag we have is col tag. The col tag defines the properties of each column within the col group tag. So first let's talk about col and then we'll talk about col group. For this I'll take the same example. So I'll just copy the same table and I'll just remove this caption because this is not an example for caption, and I'll just give col group, and within this col group I should be having the col tag, and please note col tag does not have any ending tag. And at this moment if I just save it, now you see here we have this particular table here, and let's say that I want to change the background color of the first column, that is big data column. Then what I can do is I can just come here and this particular column I can just give here col span is equal to 1, and I can just give here style is equal to background color, and I can just give a particular color, let's say carrot blue. And if I just save it, now you see this particular column is having carrot blue color. Alright, and let's do one thing. Let's add another table heading. I can just say like database. Here let me just add another one. For example, I can just say like Oracle. Here again let me just add MySQL, and if I just save it, now you see here now I have 3 columns. Now for the first 2 columns I want to add this particular color, then I'll just give span is equal to 2. Now you see I have these 2 columns in this particular color. Similarly, you can change the color of the third column as well. So this is all about col tag. The next one we have is col group tag. This is used to create a group of 1 or more columns in a table. For this, please note that this particular col group tag should be present inside the table tag, and col tag will always be coded within the col group tag. So with this, let's take an example. I think we already know the example by now. So we already used this col group tag, and what I can do is, you see here, I'll just format it properly, and here let me do one thing. First let me just duplicate this. So what I'm gonna do is I'll just remove this particular span, and I'll just say like background color is, for example, let's say like something, for example, gold. And if I just save it, now you see that I have 3 columns. So for the first 2 columns this is the background color, and for the last one we have gold, let's say. And if I just check the output, I'm getting the exact output. So I hope you got the idea about col group tag. To add the machine related translation to your content, you can use the data tag. For this, let's take an example. So let's say that I have a particular content. What I want is, for example, let's say that I have an unordered list. For that we have ul tag. I'll talk about this later. And under this, if I have a list of items, for example, I have li tag, and if I just give, for example, 1 2 3, and again if I just come down, I'll use another li tag, and here if I just give, let's say 4 5 6, save it, and now you see here I have 2 items, that is 1 2 3 and 4 5 6, or just to make it clear I can just give item 1, item 2. So this is unordered list and I have 2 items. For that we are using a li tag, right? I'll also talk about a li tag later on. And instead of coding like this, if you're using embed, since this particular editor, that is Visual Studio Code, already contains embed, you can directly write like this, that is ul. Under this you have child selector li. give tag, and you see by default it will create this particular syntax. If I just give li multiplied by 3, now you see it is going to create 3 list items. Or if I just give li multiplied by 4, it is going to create 4 list items. Now this is so easy, right? Now what I can do is I can just add data, or it is better I can just give 1 minute. I'll just add data like this, and now I'll just add a value for this particular data. So I'll just say value is equal to, let's say 1, and I'll just say long grain. Okay, similarly I'll just say this particular data, that is data is equal to 2, and here I'll just say brown long grain rice, and again here let me just copy this data. Here I'll just say data is equal to 3, and I'll just say, for example, basmati rice, and here I'll just say data value is equal to 4, and here I'll just say, for example, jasmine rice. Alright, now if I just save it, now you just see the output. Here we are getting long grain, brown long grain rice, basmati rice, jasmine rice. Now in terms of output we don't see any much difference, but for machine it is like machine readable translation of this particular data, right? So that is the reason we have to use this particular data tag. The next one we have is data list. It is all about lists of data like a predefined options for the input field. Let's understand with example. So consider that we have a form, and if I just create a form, now at this moment let's say that I have input field, and all these tags, that is form and input tags, will cover later on as we move further. And let's say that if I have data list, it should be data list. I have to provide the list of options. So inside this data list, let's say that the first option is option, and I'll just say option multiplied by, let's say, like 4. So the first value I'll just say like casual shoes. Okay, so I'll just say here casual shoes, and please note this option, that is ending tag, is optional. And again here also I'll just delete the ending tag, it's not required. And here I can just give, for example, sports shoes. Here let's add formal shoes, and attend I'll just add sandals. And let me just save it. At this moment, if I just go to my output, you see this is something like this. And now what I have to do is I have to link these two data list with input type. So I'll just say like input type as text. Instead of this, I'll just say input list is equal to, for example, let's give the name as footwear, and list as footwear, and name as, for example, footwears. Alright, and in data list what I can do is I can just pass this particular ID. So I'll just give here ID is equal to, I can just give footwear, that is this list. And what I can do is I can just give a submit button. So I can just give, just after data list, I can just add, for example, input, and type is equal to submit. Right. So what I've done is I have created a form. Inside that I have an input list which is footwear, and the name is footwears. This name is optional. And then we have datalist ID is equal to footwear, and then in this particular ID we are providing the list of options. So this name and this name should be matching. And now if I just go to my output, now see here, by default I am having all these values, right? So this is how you can use data list. The next tag is dd tag, and it defines the description or value of the description list. So let's talk about dd tag. So for this, what I'm gonna do is first, and before that, I just want to talk to you about one important point, is that dd tag is to be placed just after the dt tag. I will talk about dt tag later on, and also please remember that dd tag and dt tag will be under dl tag. I'll also cover dl tag later once we move to dl tag. So at this moment, please remember these 2 points. With this, let's proceed further with an example. So as I told you that first we should have dl tag, and inside this I should be having dt tag and I should be having dd tag. So for this, I'll just use sibling character, that is plus, and I can just give dt, and if I just give tab, now you see here it has created this particular syntax because of embed. You can also code it separately, like first you have to code dl tag and then code dt tag and then dd tag. But all I have done is I've just used the feature of embed, which is inbuilt in Visual Studio Code, right? So we have dt, and here what I'll do is I'll just make a particular value, or I'll just give a value, for example AIR, and I can just give here the description of this particular field as All India Radio, right? And if I just run this, now you see here it says AIR is All India Radio. Similarly, if I just copy this again, let me just copy these two, and this time what I'll do is I'll just give CMDA, or I can just give, for example, CDMA, and for CDMA it is code division multiple access. If I just save this, in the output you see that for CDMA it is code division multiple access. So this is all about dd tag. In this, we should also be aware about dt tag, and we also have dl tag. So I'll talk about all these, that is dl tag and dt tag, as we move further alphabetically. So at this moment, that's all about you should remember for dd tag. The next tag is del tag, and it is used to define a deleted text. So once you define a deleted text, the browser will add a strike through line for that particular text. So let's understand with help of an example. So let's say that I have a p tag, and inside this I can just say, for example, what is your name, and let's say that instead of your I want to add my. So what I can do is I can just delete your, so I'll just give here delete, that is del tag, and I'll just put your inside this particular del tag, and instead of your, now I'll just add my. So now it is what is my name. So if I just execute this, now you see that it says what is your, and you see your is deleted. So you can see that there is a strike through line passing through that particular text. So this is all about del tag. The next one we have is details tag. Using this, the user can show or hide the data of the summary tag. I'll talk about summary tag later on. At this moment, let me just show you with an example. So for that, first I'll just use details, and inside this detail I should be having summary tag. So I'll just use summary, and using the embed inbuilt feature I was able to create this particular syntax. If you don't have embed, then you have to code it manually like this. And you see here in the summary I can just write, for example, let's say if I just give Dowry Prohibition Act 1961 for India, and what I can do is I can just add a p tag, and here you can just explain about this particular act. So at this moment I'll just give lorem and just give enter so that there is some dummy text. So you see, once I saved it, you can see in the browser, so it says Dowry Prohibition Act 1961 for India, and once you click here, you see it gives the particular details about this particular tag. I mean, you see here we have this particular details, that is Dowry Prohibition Act 1961 for India. It is through summary tag, and if I want to define about this, or if I want to know the details about this particular tag, then I can use the details tag. So basically what we are doing is we are just using the summary tag just inside the details tag. So that's all about details tag. The next tag we have is dfn tag, and it is used as a definition tag. Let me just show with an example. So first let me just come here, and actually all the output we are getting very bottom. So what I'm going to do is, let's add some br tag. So I'll just give br multiplied by, let's say, like 5. And now if I just save this, now you see that I have some gap here so that the output is visible to you properly. If you want, you can give more. For example, I can just give br multiplied by 5 again. And if I just save it, now you see that I have lot of gaps here so that I can show you the examples properly, and it is not actually at the bottom left. So now what I'm gonna do is I'm just going to show you an example of dfn tag. So let's say that I want to define the word www. So for that, what I can do is, let's say that I can just give here dfn, and I can just write here www, and www stands for World Wide Web. Alright, so if I just save it, and now in the output you see that it says www stands for World Wide Web. In fact, it should be like 3w, not 4w's, right? So this is how you can use dfn tag, and these are very simple tags. So that is the reason I'm not taking much of your time. Let's proceed further with the next tag. Now, if you want to create a pop-up window, or if you want to add, or rather if you want to create a dialog box or a sub window, then you can use a dialog tag. Let's take an example. So basically what I'm gonna do is here, before that, first let me just add a p tag here, and I'll put everything inside this p tag so that this looks proper. And you see there is no change in the output, right? And it is not in line, right? Now I was talking about dialog tag, so I'll just give here dialog, and you see here we have dialog, and I'll just give here open. So open is an attribute here, and I'll just mention about this particular sub window. So it is a open dialog window. You can give anything as per your wish. And what it is going to do is it will just create a dialog box or a modal window where it will be displayed about this particular details, that is, it is an open dialog window. Let me just save this, and if I just check the output, now you see that it has created a sub window like this, and here we have written that it is an open dialog window. So that's all about dialog tag. Next we have is div tag. As the name suggests, div is used to create divisions or sections or sectors. It is one of the most important tags, and it acts as a container for other tags. Let's understand this with help of an example. So what I'm gonna do is, here I'll be having a div, and inside this div, let's do one thing. Let's add a ul tag, and inside this ul tag I'll have some list of items, and let's say that I have 4 lists of items. So if you don't have Visual Studio Code, manually you can type like this. Alright, and here let's say that I have January, for example. So I'll just give here Jan, and then here if I just give Feb, here let me just give March, and here let me just give April, right? And also on top here I can just add, for example, let's say an h3 tag, and here I can just say, for example, month Jan to April. Alright, and now you see if I just execute this, let me just close this first. Okay, let me execute this again. So let me just open this with live server. Now here it has already added some space here, so I can see that after div, when we have this dialog box which is present here, and yeah, we can see that this is the particular thing. So actually this dialog box is shifting towards this right side, and you can fix this also with the help of CSS, but I don't want to go into CSS. My intention is to show about this particular tag, that is div tag. Let us do one thing to keep it separate. Let's add a style. So I'll add a style. For example, I'll just give background color as, let's say, black, or let me just give gray. Black will be too bright, and I'll also give color as, let's say, light pink. Light pink is also fine, or let me just give light green. And I'll just copy this just to show you the divisions, and this time instead of gray, let me just keep some other color. Background color is equal to, let's say, light, I can just give light pink, and here instead of light green I'll just give here for example, let's say like lime is also fine, and here I'll just give May to July or August I can give. So here let me just give May, June, July, August. Right now if I just execute this, or if I just save this, now you see here, you see that this is a particular area, and you can also shift this dialog box up or down as per your liking. I'm not gonna do it now. What you can do is you can just add some space here. So this is a dialog box, and then at this moment, just what I'm gonna do is I'll just add a br tag. You can add another br tag, or you can add, you can just give br tag multiplied by 2. Okay, so it will keep on adding space. You see here, you can also add, you can also shift this particular dialog box or pop-up box towards the left side using the help of float properties of CSS. And at this moment you see that we have just used div tag, and now it has created this particular division. This is one section. Again we have another section. Alright, you can change the colors and all, so that is up to you. If you don't like light green color, you can just give, for example, like let's say white smoke or white, and now you see that here we have this particular color, right? So this is how you can use div tag. The next tag we have is DL tag. DL is for description list, and we have already seen an example of DD tag where we have used DL tag. So we know that DD and DT tag, which we are going to discuss later. So DD we have already seen, and DT we are going to see later. So DD and DT tag comes under DL tag. We have already seen that particular example, right? So DD is for definition or description of the data, and DT is for description term, or you can just say like it is like a short term, right? And DL is description list. So here we have already seen that particular example. So you see here we have DL, and this is description list, and then we have DD, and then we have DT, right? So that is what the next tag is. The next tag is DT tag. So DT tag is a short term in the description list. So if you just consider HTML5, then DL tag is description list, while in HTML4 the DL tag is definition list, and the DT tag is for the definition term, alright, in HTML5. So that's all about DD, DL and DT tag. Let's talk about the next tag, which is EM tag. The EM tag is used to emphasize a particular text, and it will come like an italic text. So I'll just show you how it happens. So let's come down, and here I'll just use EM, and inside this, if I just say I am emphasized tag. Now you see that if I just save this, in the output you see it is the emphasized text, right? So it emphasizes a particular text, and this text will become like an important text. So please remember that the EM tag is used to emphasize a text, and it is used mostly to format a particular text. Let's talk about the next tag, which is embed tag. The embed tag is used to embed an external application or plugin, such as like multimedia files or an images or a plugin and so on. Let's take an example. So here for embed tag we have to give embed, and this is a tag name, and we can give multiple attributes. For example, src is one attribute, type is one attribute. Similarly, you can add width and height as well. Let's talk about src, and let's say that you want to add a particular image. So first let me just check if we have used an image, and I think we had already used an image. So here you see that we have used this particular image, right? So what I'm gonna do is I'll use the same image, and in type we have to give the image and the type of image. So here we have already given the source of this image, and the type of the image will be image, and it is JPG, right? So if I just give like this, let me just run it, and you see this is the particular image we have, right? Let me just give a br tag here, and we can also set the width and height as well. So I can just give here, for example, width is equal to, I can just give width as equal to, let's say like 200, and height I can just give as, let's say, for example, 250, right? And now you see that we have changed the width and height. I think 250 looks very awkward. I'll just change it to 150. This is what we get. Alright. In the same way, you can add other multimedias. For example, you can add a video file as well, or an audio as well. So I'll just leave this as an exercise for you so that you can practice. Alright. Let's talk about our next tag. In the same way, you can embed an external web page, for example, HTML file as well. Let me just show that as well. So first I'll just copy this, and let's say that you have an HTML file. So I'm not gonna create another HTML file. This is just an example. So let's say that here you created another HTML file in your folder with the name abc.html, and what you can do is you can embed that. So I can just give here abc.html. Now when it comes to type, see, this is a text file, that is HTML file. So here you have to write text, and since it is not a JPG file, it's an HTML file, so you have to write HTML, and then you can give the width and height, which is optional, right? So this is how you can embed an HTML file also. So at this moment, since I have not created this HTML file, so let me just comment out this. So I'll just give Control K and C or Control K and U to comment out, right? And this is how you can use embed. Let's talk about our next tag. To create related data in a group, you can use fieldset tag. And to add a particular caption or to define a caption for this particular tag, we can use legend tag along with it. Let's understand how to use fieldset first. For this, first let us create a particular form. So we know that to create the form, we can use the form tag, and you can just give a particular dummy name. For example, I can just give in the action, I can just give form.html, right? And here, first let me do one thing. First I'll add field set, and inside this field set, let me add a legend first. So I'll just give legend. So this is just to add a caption. and I'll just say employee details, and I can just add few things. So first, before that, I'll just show you the output. You see it is looking like this, and let me just add few extra information. For example, I can just add name. I'll add br tag separately. Alright, and here after this name there will be a line, and after that I can just write input, and here input type as text, and name I can just write, for example, name as, let's say, name, and you can also give a particular value as well. I'll just give value is equal to empty, and if you want you can also add another br here. For example, if I add br like this, now you see if I just show you the output, here it says the name, right? And you can also add a particular submit button and so on. For example, instead of name or along with name, you can add email ID, you can add phone number, you can add address or even email address as well. And at end you can add a submit button as well. So for that, I'll just give input type as equal to, for example, let's say submit, and I'll just say value is equal to submit as well, or I'll just change it to a small case. Now you see here, now I can just add some name and I can just click on this submit button. So at this moment, since we don't have any details in this form, this is just the structure of the form, so it is not going to submit any data. But once you have an active form using a PHP or another programming language, let's say like Java or Python and so on, then you can even submit this form. So at this moment, I'm not gonna do anything. So that's all about this particular tag, that is fieldset. And you see, we have also used the legend tag just to add a caption here. So this is the caption here, that is employee details, right? So that's all in this particular tag. Now suppose you have a figure and you want to add a caption for that particular figure. So figure, when I say, it is like a figure tag, which I'm going to discuss later. But let's say that you have a figure tag and you want to add a caption for that, then you can use figcaption tag. And you can add figcaption as the first or last child of the figure tag. So let's say if I just come down here, what I can do is I can just add a figure tags first, and inside this figure tag, let's say that I have a particular image and I can just give an image. So for example, I have an image at this particular location, that is Mysore_palace.jpg. So you know that it is a relative URL, and automatically it will take tutorial brain, then image, and then this particular JPG file, right? And you can add something like this, for example, Mysore Palace. So this is a very beautiful place in Karnataka, and I can just give here width is equal to, let's say I can add 350 pixel or 340 pixel, and here I can also add height and so on. So I'll just add a particular height, for example 400 pixel, and this is my file, and I'll just show you at this moment. I think this file is not showing properly, so what I can do is I can just check here whether the name is correct or not. So let me do one thing. If I just try to add the complete URL, w.tutorialbrain.com / and then this image path, I'm not getting this image. So let me just take an image which is already existing. For example, I know that this particular image already exists, so I'll just take this particular image and I'll just change this to a nice cake, and it should be there. Yeah, it is there, and it is better to keep the height little less. So now you see that we have this figure tag, and I want to add a caption for this particular figure. So what I'm going to do is I'll just use figcaption. So just below this I can add figcaption, and here I'll just add a particular meaning. For example, I can just say like figure about cake, or you can just say a particular name, for example number also, like figure 1, and you can just say like yummy cake, right? And if I just come out, you see this is the caption it has added here. Now you can format this caption as well, that is up to you. If you know CSS, you can add it, you can format it completely as per your liking, which I'm not gonna do now. So that's all about figcaption, and let's talk about our next tag. And you guessed it right, our next tag is the figure tag itself. So if I just come back here, this is the figure tag, and it is a self-content media tag which contains some content. So it's a single unit which includes figures and related caption. So we have this image file inside this, and then we have this figure caption. So you can have images, we can have code snippets also in this particular figure file, and this fig caption is also optional, right? So we don't have to take a separate example of figure tag. So this is all about figure and fig caption. Let's talk about next tag. Our next tag is footer tag. Footer tag is used to add footer related information in your website. For example, copyright details, credit or author details and so on, and it comes at the bottom of your website. Let's take an example. For that, I can just give footer. So footer tag can contain address or even credit or copyright information, or you can have site address, or you can have back to top, then site links and so on. Let's say that I have added an address here. So inside this I can add some address. So let me just give address tag. We have already discussed about this address tag. So let me do one thing. I'll just copy the address details directly from here. Okay, just to minimize the time. And at this moment, you see, if I just show you, so this is what we get, and normally it is at the bottom of the web page, right? And now you can also add other information. For example, let me just remove this br tag, and instead of this I can add a p tag, and I can just add, for example, contact information, and I'll just add a tag here. So let me just format it properly, and I'll just add a tag, and let me just give href as, for example, mail to support@tutorialbrain.com, right? And here you can just add the same thing, for example, support@tutorialbrain.com. and once you save this, let me just show you the output, and you will be seeing this particular output, right? Now you see that without using the footer tag also, simply by using address tag, we could have used this particular information, right, from here to here. But the thing is, I think we have missed the address right here. Okay, we'll do one thing. First, we have this address, and after this we will be having this particular contact information. Now you see there is no change in the output much, but this is the proper way. So inside the footer you can have address tag, and you can have other tags as well which is related to your footer, and we can also have credits, and we can have back to top sites links and sitemaps and so on. So that's all about footer tag, and please understand that footer tag is a new tag in HTML5, and it is a very useful tag. So that's all about footer tag. The next tag is a very useful tag which is called as form tag, and we have already created a form using the form tag. I'll just show you another example. So what I'm gonna do is, you see footer tag should be at the bottom, so either I can keep it at the bottom, or just to maintain the flow in alphabetical order, I'll just add form here. So I'll just give form, or let me do one thing. Since I already have a form, right? So this is the form which we already created, right? So we will just extend this form. So we have name, right? In the same way you can add other fields. For example, let's say that I remove this, Or let me just add this like a first name, and this is text, and I'll just give f name, and I can add last name as well. So here let me just give last name, and I'll just give here L name. Alright, if you want, you can have field set and so on. It is not mandatory to have field set. For example, I can remove this field set as well, and even I can remove this legend. These are all optional, right? And I'll just show you the simple form. Now please understand that using the form, you cannot submit a form. It is very important that you have to make it a clear distinction that using HTML, you can simply create the structure of the form, not the actual form. The actual form you'll be able to process only with a proper programming language like PHP, Java or Python. Alright, and there are a lot of other programming language. And you see here, now I have this first name and last name. So that's all about form tag at this moment. Let's proceed further. And since form tag is not a small topic, it's a very detailed topic, and what I'm gonna do is I'll create a separate video on forms. If you want to understand HTML forms completely, I mean the type of options or fields or attributes what you can give in the form. So if you want to learn that, I'll just add that particular link in the description of the video. You can watch that video once I'll publish that in this particular channel. Alright, let's proceed further. Now let's talk about the H1 to H6 tags. These are called as heading tags, and H1 is like for title or the main title or the heading. And as you move gradually down, that is from H2, H3, H4, H5 and H6, the font size will keep on decreasing. And H2, H3, H4, H5 and H6 is for subheading. Let's understand with examples. So what I'm gonna do is, after this form, let me just do one thing. I'll just create H1, and again I'll create H2, and inside this first, let me just say like I am H1, or I can just say like I am inside H1, and let me format it properly. I don't want to waste much space at this moment. Let me just copy it, or what I can do is even I can duplicate it. So this one I'll just change it to H2. This one also let me just do H2. This is H3, this is H4, now this is H5, and this one is H6. This one let me just make it H3, H4, H5 and H6. And I can just say like I'm inside H2, I'm inside H3, H4, H5 and H6. Now if you notice here carefully, what will happen is the H1 tag, so whatever the content you have inside H1, they will act like a title, and below it, like H2 will be having smaller font than H1. Similarly, H3 will be having smaller font than H2. H4 will be having smaller font than H3 and so on. So let me just save it. And now I think I have to start the live server. By mistake, I think it got switched off. So I'll just open with live server. And now you see here, if I just come down, you see now that I'm inside H1, it is little bigger size. Then I'm inside H2 is smaller than H1. H3 is smaller than H2 and so on. So this is a perfect example of heading tags. The next important tag is head tag. Head tag is coded at the top and it contains important information. For example, it will contain all the meta related details. Then we can add title related details of the document. We can have author related details. We can also add styles, base URL and so on. So you see here we have this head tag. So initially we did not add this head tag manually. Since we used exclamation mark and enter, by default the embed plugin, which is inbuilt in this Visual Studio Code, created this head tag for us. But if you want to do it manually, you have to give head tag, and then you see here we have meta related details that we are gonna discuss later on, and then we have title of the document, we have base URL, And we can also add other details, for example, style related details. So if I just give a style, now you see here we have a style, and let's say that I want to change the color. So let's say I want to change the color of these links. So at this moment, you see here we have so many links and the colors are like this. And now what I want is here, let's say for all the anchor tags, all the links, I want to change the color to, let's say, tomato, or we can keep turquoise also. And if I just save this, now you see here the color got changed to turquoise. If you want, you can change any other color. So if I just give tomato, this looks a very good color. Now you see the color of the links got changed. Similarly, you can add external style sheet as well. And I'm not gonna discuss CSS part here, but that is also a very good option. And if you want to learn CSS, this is the place. That is inside the head tag, you'll be having a link. And then using the link tag, you have to, connect the CSS with HTML. So it is like this. So it's like link. And then you see here, it says link is style sheet and then href. And here you have to give the name of the file. For example, if the name of the file is style, you can just give style.css because the extension of CSS is .css. So you can link the external CSS file here like this. Alright, so this is all you need to know about this particular head tag. Let's talk about the header tag. Now do not get confused between the head tag and the header tag. The head tag comes before the body tag and the header tag is coded inside the body tag. And the header tag contains information, for example, title, logo, etc. And this acts as a container to introduce a new content. You can also place navigational links in your header tag. Let's take an example. So if I just come down, what I can do is I can just give here header, and inside this you can add important information. For example, you can add h2 tag, and you can just say, for example, welcome to tutorial brain, and then you can also have p tag, and you can also say like best website to learn HTML. Alright, so it is up to you what you want to write. And you see here in the output, if I just come down, you see it says welcome to tutorial brain and best website to learn HTML. Now header tags are not mandatory to be used. It was introduced like a new tag, but you can contain the title, the logo, and some important information related to header of the website in this header tag. Alright, so that's all about header tag. The next tag we have is HR tag, and HR denotes horizontal rule. This is to add horizontal rule between paragraphs, and this is a way to add thematic break between the paragraphs so that it is like a change in the topics level. So let's take an example. Let's say here I have a particular h1 tag, or let's take h2 tag, and if I just say, for example, work, and here I'll just say, for example, let's say again h2 tag, and here I'll just say, for example, passion. Now you see here in the output we have work and passion. Or let me do one thing. Inside this, just after the h2, not inside, I'll just add p tag, and I'll just add a dummy text. So I'll just give lorem, and you see by default this particular tool gave me a dummy text. Again, after this h2, so I have another h2, it should be somewhere, right? So actually it is supposed to be h2 now, or I can have the same p tag also, not a problem. Okay, let me just keep a p tag itself. And now what I'll do is, if you see the output at this moment, we have work and passion. So you see here, I think I need to save it. So okay, what I've done is, like by mistake I added a paragraph at top, and it is not supposed to add to this particular place. So anyways, that is fine. What I'll do is I'll just add a paragraph here, and I'll just give a lorem ipsum. Alright, and again here I'll add another p tag, and again I'll just give lorem. So these are all dummy text which I have added now, and at this moment you see that this is the dummy text, right? And now just in between these two paragraphs we have one heading, right? That is H2. So we have H2 paragraph, then H2 paragraph. So in between, let's say that I want to add a horizontal rule, and please note that the HR tag does not have any end tag. So you see here, I don't have to give any end tag. You see here, it has added this particular horizontal line. So in HTML terms, it is called as horizontal rule. So it is to add a thematic break between the flow of two paragraphs, right? So this looks very nice. And let's say that you want to separate two paragraphs in such a way that it is clearly visible, then we can use HR tag. So that's all about HR tag. The next tag is the most important tag in HTML, and you guessed it right, it is HTML tag itself. Now everything apart from doctype is present within the HTML tag, and this contains all the information except doctype, and this is called as the root tag in the HTML document. So we already know, if I just show you this particular document, you see here we have HTML, right? And this particular attribute, that is lang, is equal to English. So EN stands for English. It is optional even if you do like this, that is HTML, and you see here this is the starting tag, and at end we have HTML. So this is the end tag, right? And everything is present inside this HTML tag apart from this doctype, right? So this is all about HTML tag you need to know. Alright, and let me just do Ctrl Z so that it is always better to add language, but still it is optional as I told you already. So that's all in this particular HTML tag. Next, let's discuss about I tag. If you want to make your text in italic format, then use I tag. Now please note there is a difference between the EM tag and I tag. EM tag will also make your text italic, but at the same time it will also mark that particular text as important. But if you're using the I tag, it will make the text as italic, but it is not going to make it as important. So make a clear distinction between these two and use only when it is required. Let's take an example. So for that I'll just give I. It is very simple, and italicize this text. Now you see that if I just save this, now this is in italic form, right? So the text is now italicized. So that's all you need to understand about I tag. The next tag is iframe. This allows us to have the inline frame. For example, if you want to present a web page inside the same web page, then you can use iframe. Let's take an example. So here, let's say that I want to add an iframe. For that, I have iframe, right? And then you have to give the source, and then if you want, you can give the frame order. So these are all optional, and source is mandatory. So if I just give, for example, like https://www.tutorialbrain.com, and if I just save this, let's open the output, and you see here that this is the iframe, and if you want to make it little better, you can add a BA tag. You see here we have this particular frame. So this is an inline frame, that is we have a web page inside the same web page, right? So in this way you can use iframes. Now please note that some browsers still does not support iframes, so it is better to add a fallback content in case your browser does not support iframes. So what I mean is, here if I just add, for example, let's say here if I just add a p tag, and we can just say your browser does not support iframes. So you see here at this moment this particular content from the p tag, that is paragraph tag, will not be displayed, and you see here it is not present. In case if your browser does not support the iframe tag, then this particular content, which is called as the fallback content, will be displayed. So let's say that if I just give something like this, that is tutorial brain F, and this website does not exist, let's say, and now you see that it is showing that this particular website does not exist. But let's say that you have a particular browser where this particular content, this particular iframe itself is not visible, or if it is not supported, then this particular fallback content will be visible to the user. So that's all you should know at this moment about iframes. The next one we have is a very important tag, and we have already used it. This tag is img tag, and this is used to have images. So let's take an example. We already know that we have added some images. You see here, we have added these images, and I'll use the same image. So let's take an image, and I think, yeah, this is the image source, right? And you see, if I just copy it, we have already used it, in fact, so there is not much to explain about image tag now. So here you see we have image tag, and in the source you are providing the URL or the path from which the image will be shown. So you see here we have given the base URL as tutorialbrain.com. You see here we have given the base URL, and here we are giving the name of the image, that is cake.jpg, and this is present in this particular folder. That is the reason we have given this particular folder. And this is the alternative name, that is alt. For example, if you give a wrong name, for example, if I just give cakes.jpg, then this particular alternative text will be visible. So let me just show you. You see here it says a nice cake because this image is not present. If you give the correct name, this particular alternative name will not be shown. So you see here it is showing this particular image, and just to make it little better, I'll add a br tag, and now you see here this is coming right below this iframe. So that's all you need to know about image. Let's talk about the input tag. Using the input tag, the user can input their details. So let's take an example. Here we already have a form, right? So you see here we already have a form, and let's say that I want to submit my detail. So we have already used the input tag, in fact, and I did not explain about input tag at that time. But here you see now, if I just give input type is equal to text, name as fname, and then for last name we have given lname. And now if I just run this, now you see here we have first name and last name. So since we have given this as input text, input tag, that is the reason I can give any detail. For example, let's say like I can just give here, for example, let's say Sandeep, and here I can just give Kumar, and you see that since it is an input text, that is the reason we are able to add our details, and that is the reason it is called as input tag. Let's talk about the insert tag, which is denoted by ins. We already know that using delete tag we can show the deleted text. In the same way, we have ins tag, which is used to show the inserted text. For example, if I just write, for example, let's say that I have 3 pens. Now instead of 3, what I can do is, if I just give here del, or here let me just format it properly, and you see here if I just give like this, let me just delete the extra del. If I just show it in the browser, you see it says I have 3 pens. In fact, alright, and now you see it says I have 3 pens. So here this is deleted text, and in the same way, if I just make it as insert, that is ins, now you see here I have 3 pens, and there is an underline just below the word 3, right? So this is the way to tell the browser that this is an inserted text. So that's all about ins tag. Let's proceed further. The kbt tag is a phrase tag that marks the input text as a keyboard text. Let's understand with the help of an example. So for this I have to use kbt, and here let's say that if I just use, for example, the text given inside kbd tag represents keyboard text. Now you see here this will be displayed like an keyboard text. You see the difference. And if I just change something here, for example, let's say if I add a paragraph text, and let's copy this and make it to end, and here I'll just say, for example, let's say thanks or thank you, whatever it is. Now you see here the difference is that it looks in a different way, this particular text. Let me just format it little in a better way, and here let me just add a dot, and now you see that this particular text looks like a keyboard input text and this text looks little different. So that's all about KBD tag. Next we have the label tag, and it describes the text label for the input tag in the form such as textarea, text, email, password, etc. Let's understand with the help of an example. So let's take a form. So what I'm going to do is, let's create a form. Okay, and now here I can give anything, or let's do one thing. This time even action is not required. What I'm gonna do is, here let me just create a label first, and what I'm going to do is, just below that first I'll just add an input, and here let's say input type is equal to text, or this time let's take another input type, for example radio, and I'll just give the name. So I'll just give name is equal to status, ID is equal to married, and let's give a value. So I'll just give a value is equal to, let's say, married. Alright, and now since this is the input text, input type, I'll just show you first. If I just save this, let me just execute this again. So let me just open with live server, and let me close the previous document. Let's come down, and here you see that I have a particular radio button, right? This is clickable, and you see that at this moment there is no label for this input button. Let's add a label for this. So here I'll just give here label for married, and now you see here it says, I think it should be having married. Okay, let me just do one thing. I think I would have done some mistake here, or something is missing. So I can just see that we have the form and label 4 is equal to married. Then here we have to add the text. Sorry for that. Now here you see, now we have married, right? So we can also add something like this. For example, just after the form or before the form, here we can add something like this, that is p tag, and then we can add like, what is your marital status. Now this looks more meaningful. See here, what is your marital status, and it is married, the first button. Again, what we can do is, let's copy these two lines, and let me just paste it here. Again, let me just paste it again. So this time I can just add something like, let's say single. Okay, and here also let me just add single. So again, let it be radio, name as status itself, and this time ID I'll just add as single and value as single. Alright, and again here let me just say, for example, widow, again widow, and let me just change it. Now you see that once we have added the label, it looks so beautiful. That is, what is your marital status, married, single, or widow. And even you can add a br tag. You see here, I can add a br tag as well. Okay, Similarly here I can add a br tag, and this looks more meaningful. At end it is optional. If you want, you can add a br tag. If you want, you can leave it as well. And now you see the output. You see what is your marital status. It is married, single or widow. You see here the user can select any particular option. Alright, so that's all about label tag. Next we have the legend tag. Using the legend tag you can add the caption for the parent element. For example, if you have a field set, you can have a caption for this, and for this you can use the legend tag for fields like textarea, email, password, etc. You have already seen an example of legend tag. Let me just show you. So let me just search here for legend tag, and here you see we have this particular example where legend and then we have employee details. So let me just copy this again, and here in fact I can just paste it, and here you see that we have employee details and here we have name. Similarly we can add email ID or phone number or employee ID and so on. Let me just show you as well. So let me just copy this. This time instead of name, let me just have email ID, and here it should be input type as text, but the name, let me just change it to email. Alright, and I'll just keep the value as empty. Okay, and you can also add a button. For example, I can also add a button as well. So let me just add something like this. Let's say I'll remove this input type as submit. Instead of this, what I'll do is I'll just add button, and I'll just say button type is equal to button, and let me just add on click is equal to document dot write form submitted, and one moment, let me just check. So it is like button type is equal to button, and then on click is equal to document dot write, and inside this we have form submitted, and then there should be a double quote here, and then here we should have submit text, right? So even if you don't know much about these, it's not a problem. You just have to remember that if you just add legend tag and if you have given employee details, then it's like a caption for this particular field set. And if I just show you, now you see here we have name, we have email ID, and I have also added a submit button as well. Alright, so that's all in this legend tag. Next we have a very important tag that is called as ally tag. Using the ally tag you can add lists of items in an ordered list or unordered list. So let's take an example of this. So for this I'm going to use the ally tag, and let's say that I have an unordered list. So for unordered list we have ul tag, and for ordered list we have ol tag. So first let me just give unordered list, and inside this I can add, let's say, 3 elements, I mean 3 data items. So I'll just give li multiplied by 3. So you see here this is called as list items, and I'll just show you what is the meaning of ul later on. So at this moment please remember that ul is for unordered list, that is bulleted list. And now here I can add anything. For example I can add a meaningful item, or let's do one thing. Here first let me just add an h2 tag saying that Indian rivers, and here let me add Brahmaputra, then we have Ganga, we have Kaveri, and in fact we can add a lot of Indian rivers, and I'll just give again li multiplied by 2, and here let me add some more. For example, Godavari, and you can add Krishna or Mahanadi or other rivers. I'm just adding 5. You notice here, if I just save it, and now in the output you see it says Indian rivers, and then we have list of items. So these are unordered list of items. You see here we have bullet list, right? If you want, you can also make it as ordered list. For example, instead of UL, if I change it to OL, I'll just show you. You see, if I just change it to OL, now you see the difference. Now we have numbered list, right? So these are ordered list, this is unordered list. So that's the basic difference between UL and OL. But in this particular case, the main idea is to talk about li tag, using which you can add list of items in ordered list or unordered list. Next, we have link tag, and we have already used the link tag within our head tag, if you remember. This link tag is used to link external style sheet, that is external CSS file, with our HTML document, and you can have any number of link tag. Let me just show with an example. So you see here, if you remember, we added this particular line, that is link style sheet, and then we have added the name of the CSS as style.css. Now at this moment, this particular file does not exist. That is the reason if I just click on this particular link using the control button, you see that it gives an error because this style sheet is not present. So what I have to do is, you see, first let me just create this file. So I'll just give right click and I'll just give style.css. Now another problem here is that, you see, again if I click on this particular link, you see again it is not going to that particular CSS file, and the reason being is that you have to code this link tag before your base URL. Okay, so if you have a base URL, it is always better to have your link tag before the base URL in order to avoid any confusion. And in the base URL, whatever link you are passing in the href, it is better to add a / at the end. And now you see, if I just click on this particular link after pressing control button in my keyboard in Windows, now you see that I'm going to this particular file because it is able to link that file properly. Alright, and let's say that I had added this particular style, the style tag here, and now what I'm gonna do is I'll just take out all the information from here and I'm going to paste here. Okay, and let me just remove this particular style sheet, it is not required. And at this moment, first let me just show you, if I just remove it from my style sheet, and if you see the link, you see all the links are in different color. Since I've already visited this link, that is already this link is clicked, that is the reason it is showing in different wallet type of color. Otherwise, normally unvisited links will be having this blue color by default. So now what I'm going to do is I'll just add a particular style, that is all the anchor text, all the anchor tags should be having the color as tomato, and this particular style I have defined in my style.css. This is a separate external CSS file where I am defining my styles, and I'm linking this style.css file here in this HTML document using the link tag, and I have given the href as style.css. Now if you see here, let me just load it properly. So let me just save it again, and here also it should get saved, and you see here it is going to this particular link. Now I should be having this red color of all the anchor tags. You see here, tomato color. So this is how you can use link tag. The next tag we have is main tag. This is a new tag in HTML5, and using this tag you can add the main content of your HTML document of your body tag in this particular tag. And please note, there will be only one main tag in your HTML document. Another point is that the main tag should not be the child of article tag a side tag, footer tag, header tag, or nav tag. So let's take an example. So first I'll just come back here and let me just come down, and let's say that I have a particular h1 tag, or let's take h2 or h3, because I don't want to keep a title using h1 tag, so it's better to use h2. And let's say I have added women empowerment. All right, and here let me just add article tag, and before that let me just add a main tag first, because this is what we are talking about, that is main tag. And inside this main tag you can add any important content, which is the most important content in your HTML document. So for example, I can also add article tag here, or any other tag which are very important, and here I can add something. For example, again inside this I can just add another h3, and I can write, for example, educational women empowerment, and again I'll add a p tag, and I can add, for example, it means empowering women with knowledge and skills. All right, if I just save this, go to the output and just come down, and you see that we have this particular details, and this has come using the main tag. And even if you don't use main tag, it should not be a problem. But what I want to convey to my peers is that this is the main content of this website, and that is the reason I'm keeping this inside the main tag. So that's all about main tag. The next tag which I'm going to talk about is map tag. Map tag is used for image map, and we have already used the map tag. Let me just show you. So if I just search for map, you see here we have used the map name is equal to girl, and here we had used some areas. So it contains area elements which contains coordinates to make them clickable areas. So you see here, if I just go to my output, if you remember, we had some clickable area, and I think here, yeah, you see here in this particular image we have some clickable area. You see, if I just bring my cursor this side, even if you click, nothing happens. But this side, if you click, I'll just give control and then right click or click. You see here it goes to tutorialbrain.com, and the reason is because we had given the href as https://www.tutorialbrain.com. So that's all about map tag. Since we have already discussed about this, so I'm not going in detail about map tag. Let's talk about our next tag. Next, we have a new tag in HTML5 which is called as mark tag. Using the mark tag, you can highlight a particular portion of the text. For example, if I just come down, let me add a particular tag. Do one thing, I'll just add it manually. So I'll just say mark, and now here, even if I write I am inside the mark tag, now you see that whatever I have inside the mark tag, it will be highlighted. So normally the color will be black color, and the highlighted background will be in yellow color. Let me just show the output. Let me come down, and you see that we have I am inside the mark tag in yellow color. The background is yellow. Alright, so that's all about mark tag. Next, we have menu tag, which is used to build menu commands for list. And please note that it was earlier deprecated in HTML4.01, but again reintroduced in HTML5.01. So if you remember, we had this particular ordered list, and again, if I just take the same ordered list, and instead of OL, if I just make it as menu, now if you see the output, here you see that this is again menu item. But it is better to avoid the menu tag, because the better alternative is OL tag or UL tag and so on. Alright, so don't try to use the menu tag unnecessarily. It is just for educational purpose that I have shown to you. And here, if you see in the output, let me just show you. Here you see that this is an ordered list, and here the gap is less, but here you see there is so much gap here, right? So that is a major difference between the UL tag and the menu tag. Next, we have a very important tag which is called as meta tag. Using the meta tag, you can add the information about the data. So it is containing metadata information, that is data about data. And it contains important information such as page details, author details, then for search engine optimization, it contains some details and so on. So let me just show you. So at top, you see here inside the head tag, we had used these meta tags. And when we use this tool, that is when we used embed inside the Visual Studio Code, we got this meta tags automatically. Otherwise, you would have to write it. So we have added meta char set, that is UTF-8. So this is the particular document type. Then we have added that is it is compatible, and we have added that for Edge also, that is for Edge browser, it is also compatible. I mean, it should be compatible. And then we have added a particular viewport and content as width, device width. So these are related to the flexibility in terms of size in different browsers. And then you see we can also add other information. For example, we can add refresh rate, author of the page, keywords, etc. So keywords are normally added to index your page in Google properly. So at this moment, since we have already used the meta tags here, so there is no need to show other details about meta tag. So that's all about meta tags I'm considering now. Let's move forward and talk about other tags. Next, we have a new tag in HTML5 which is called as meter tag. The meter tag is used to create a gauge. So in fact, it helps us to create a gauge. Let's take an example. So if I just come down, here I can add a particular meter tag. So let's say that if I just give meter, and again let me just add it manually, and here what I can do is I can just give a particular value, that is meter value is equal to, let's say, 4. And at this moment, if I just save this, if you see the output, you see it is like this. And now I'll just show you how you can create a gauge out of it. So let's say that if I just give min is equal to, let's say, 0, I'll just give max is equal to, let's say, 10. So I'm using 4 out of 10, so I can just write here 4 out of 10, for example. And now you see here that we have this particular gauge. So that's the use of meta tag. Next, we have an important tag which is introduced in HTML5, and this tag is called as the nav tag. Using the nav tag, you can add a navigational block of links to your HTML document. Let's understand with an example. So if I just come here, for nav tag, I need to use the nav, and inside this I can add navigational links. For example, if I just give a multiplied by 4, that means I'm trying to add 4 anchor links. So if you see here properly, let me format it in a better way. And now here I can add something, for example, digital marketing. Here I can add Salesforce. Here I can add Java, and here let me add mainframe. And if I don't want to give exact links, just to denote a link, I can just give a hash symbol. So I'll just give a hash, and at this moment you see that this is how it will look like. Okay, and here also let me just add a hash symbol. And what you can do is, in actual production environment or when you are actually working, so that time you can change this hash to an actual link. For example, you can give a link to Google or any place to just test it. Alright, so if I just show you the output, you see we have this navigational links in this particular navigation bar. So there are so many uses of nav tag, and if you want a complete video on nav tag, then comment on this video that you want a particular video on nav itself, and if I get time, I will upload a new video which is complete video on nav tag. So that's all about nav tag at this moment. Let's proceed further. The non-script tag acts as an alternative content or a fallback content for your script tag. I will talk about script tag later on, but at this moment, let's concentrate on noscript tag. So suppose you are using a particular browser in which JavaScript is disabled, or you disabled it accidentally, or let's say that your browser does not support the JavaScript itself, then in that case, it will act as a fallback content or an alternative content. Let's take an example. So let's say that you have a script tag, and here let's say that I have this particular statement, that is document dot get element, that is get element by id, and let's give the id name as test. And before that, let me do one thing. Let me just open the p tag first. So I'll just give p tag, and inside this p tag, what I'll do is first let me create an id. So I'll just give p tag, that is pid is equal to test, and now I'm using this particular id name here. So document dot get element by id test, and then I'll just say inner HTML. Alright, and here I'll just say, like, for example, let's say hello, how are you? Alright, and now let me do one thing, and here I'll just add a noscript tag, and here I'll just say your browser does not support JavaScript, and let me just save it. And if I just show in the output, you see it says hello, how are you? And since I'm using Google Chrome browser, and this Google Chrome browser supports the script tag and even the JavaScript is enabled, that is the reason this particular content is displayed. So you see here it is displaying this content, that is hello, how are you? But if JavaScript is disabled accidentally or for some other purpose, or if your browser does not support JavaScript itself, then the non-script tag will come into picture. Here in the non-script tag, I have displayed that your browser does not support JavaScript. So let's say that if I just change the name here to test1. Now if I just show you the output, let me just come down, and you see that here it has not displayed anything. Now the issue here is that this particular noscript tag will only be displayed when the script tag is not supported. That means the JavaScript is disabled, or the JavaScript is not working for some reason in your web browser. Don't think that this particular statement, that is your browser does not support JavaScript, will be executed. So if I just fix this, now you see if I just change it to test, now you see it displays hello, how are you? So that's all about non-script tag. The object tag is used to embed the multimedia file, for example videos, audios, PDF, ActiveX, applets, and so on. In fact, you can also embed a web page as well. Let's take an example. For object tag, I'll just use object. So by default, you see that this has given me this particular syntax by using this particular tool, that is embed tool. Let's say that I can take a particular image first. So I'll just check for a particular image. Yeah, you see here I have this particular image, right? So I'll just check this image, and now what I'm gonna do is, let's say that in data I'll just give this particular data, and you can just define the type, but anyways this particular type is not required because this is an image type, and I mean JPG type, and I'll just give width, for example let's say width as for example 400. And now at this moment let me just show the output. and you see that I have this particular image of cake. Let's come down, and you can also add height. For example, I can just give height as, let's say 400. Let's see the output, and now you see that we have increased the height as well. So in this way you can use object. In fact, you can use other multimedia and you can try that as well. So let's proceed further with our next tag. Let's talk about our next tag, which is called as OL tag. In fact, we have already used the OL tag when we were using lists. So OL tag is used to create ordered list. Let me just show you. So if I just go up, you see somewhere, you see here, we had used this particular example, that is Indian rivers, and here we created unordered list, that is UL, and after that we created OL, that is ordered list. So in that ordered list, we have created the tag, that is OL, and we have given the starting and ending tag, and in between I have given the list of items. So those list of items will be ordered, so that is numbered by default. And if I just show you the output for your reference, you see here, this is the output we got. So that's all about OL tag. And since we have already seen an example of OL tag, I'm not gonna bore you with the same set of examples. So let's proceed further and watch another tag. If you want to show list of options in a drop-down list, then you can use the optgroup tag. And this optgroup tag is used inside the select tag. Let's take an example. What I'm gonna do is, I'll just code a select tag first. I'll talk about select tag later on once we go to select tag. At this moment, let's code a particular opt group. So here I'll just give opt group, and even name and ID is not required because I'm not going to do any formatting. So here, just inside this, let's say that I'll add a label. So let's add a label, for example, select country, and I can just give, for example, option. So inside the opt group, you have to give list of options. So here I'll just give options, and let's give the first value as, for example, India, and here I'll just give the name as India, and let me just copy it across, and here I can just give, for example, let's say USA, and after that USA, let's say we give Japan, and let's give Australia. Right now, if I just save it, go to the browser, and you see it says India. I think there is a problem because it is giving India 4 times. Let me just check it properly. So you see here, the mistake which I did here is I did not change anything here. So it is Japan, and let me just copy it. So it is Australia. Now go to the output, and you see it is India, USA, Japan, and Australia, right? Even you can just give a BR tag here. So let me just add a BR tag, right? It is more formatted, and now you see this is what I'm getting here, right? So this is all about optgroup tag. The next tag is option tag, and we have already seen one example. So using the option tag, you can display options in your drop-down list, and mostly it is used with either select tag or datalist tag, or in fact you can also use this inside the optgroup tag. So here in the last example, let me just show you here, we had used the select tag first, and after the optgroup tag we had used the option tag, and in fact this optgroup tag is optional. If you just remove this optgroup tag, then also this will work. But here what I've done is, using the optgroup tag, I've just added a label, and with the option we are just displaying the list of options in the dropdown. So that's all about option tag. The output tag is used to display the output of a calculation. Let's take an example. So here what I'm gonna do is, I'll just give output tag, and before that let's do one thing. Let's create a form, and here what I'm gonna do is, I'll just give, for example, let's remove the action part first, it's not required, and I'll just give form on input, right? So on input is equal to, let's say I'll give the name as total result dot value, and I'll just give is equal to parse int m1 dot value plus, let's say, parse int, and in fact the spelling is wrong, so it should be parse int m2 dot value. Alright, and I think it is right. Here we have given m1 and here we have given m2, and this is all about form. And inside the form, what I can do is I can also give input type. So let me just give, for example, input, and I'll just say input type is equal to range. Let's give a name, so I'll just give name is equal to m1, right? And at this moment at start, I'll just give the value as 0, and let me just copy this. So I'll just copy this, and next we'll just give input type is equal to number, and I'll just give the name as m2, and I'll just give the starting value as 1000. Okay, and let's add some gap. So I can just give something like, let's say, br multiplied by 2, and now let's do one thing. I'll just give total is equal to, and now comes the beauty of output. So it should be output, and here I'll just give output name is equal to. Now you see we have given total result, right? So I'll just add this particular name here, that is total result. And now you see what I've done is I've created a form, and what I've given is like on input it will display the value, and that value will be the m1 value in integer form plus m2 value in integer form. So even though m1 or m2 can be like other type, let's say like string type or something like that, or another data type, it will convert it into an int so that you're not getting an error. Alright, once it is getting converted, now you see that I have given the input type as range for name as m1, and by default starting value is 0. Next, I have given the input type as number. For this, I have given the name as m2 and starting value as 1000. Now in the output, what I'm doing is I'm just using the output tag, and I'm using this particular on input name, right? That is total result, and I'm just displaying it. So just see the output. So now you see here I have this particular total, and if I just bring this particular dot towards the right side, now you see the value is changing, that is the total amount or the total is changing. So that's all about output tag. Next we have is p tag, and we have seen so many examples of p tag. So it is used to add paragraph, and if I just show you the code, you see we have used the p tag a lot of time. Here we use the p tag, and again here let me just add a p tag if you want. So I'll just say p, and I am inside this paragraph. Let me just show the output, and you see here it says I am inside this paragraph, right? So this is how you can use p tag. The param tag is used to define the parameters of an object. Let's take an example. Consider that I have an object, and this time let's say that I have an object, and I'll take a particular mp3 file for example. So I have an mp3 file at this location, that is https://editor_html/audio_html, or I think it's HTML audio.mp3, and type is not required because by default it is mp3 only. And let's say that at this moment, if I just show you, you see here, I have this particular file. Okay, this is the audio file you can see here. Say that you want to define the parameters of this particular object. So what you can do is, you can just give param tag and you can just give name and value. So let's say that I want to define the controller, and let's say that I want to keep it as true. And now you see, if I just run it, let me just show you. I think it should be saved properly, and now you see that this is the file, and you have some options here, playback speed and so on. So in fact, you see here, you can define all the parameters using the parameter tag for this particular object. Alright, so you can explore the parameter tag, and in fact it's not super important tag. I just wanted to show you that how you can use the param tag and what is the use of it. So that's all. Now let's proceed further. Now let's talk about the pre-tag. The pre-tag tells the browser to perform the rendering in the way as it is. For example, if you have extra space, keep the extra space. If you have line break, keep the line break, and so on. Let's understand with the help of an example. So let's say that I have a pre-tag, and here, let's say I have written something like this. So I'll write the, and you see that I have a lot of spaces. So if I just give the pre-tag describes pre-formatted text. So in fact it is called as pre-formatted text, right? That is the reason it is pre-tag. And if I just give in, let's say HTML, and after that let's say I have to give an enter, and let's say if I just give your page, and again I'll just give to enter, I'll just say including line breaks and extra, let's say I have kept some extra spaces. Now you see that if I use the pre-tag, now what is going to happen? First let me just remove this HTML. By mistake it came. Okay, so this is HTML. Alright, and now you see here, if I just go to the output, now you see here we have the, and then after that we have space. So this extra space has come because we have this extra space here, and if you don't use the pre-tag, this extra space you will not get. Alright, you can try by yourself, and you see here after this we have a line break. So we have a line break here, and we have again extra spaces here. So whatever formatting you have in the text, it will present as it is. So that's all about pre-tag. The next one we have is a newly tag introduced in HTML5. It is called as the progress bar, or in fact it is called as progress tag. So progress tag is used to show the progress of a particular task. So in fact it is like a progress bar. Let's take an example. So here if I just give progress, I think it's not taking this, so manually I'll just write progress, and here if I just save this, in the output you see this is like a progress task, right? And even you can add something like this. For example, you can just say like page loading, and now you see that you have something like this. In fact, you can just give a br tag here so that it looks more proper, and now you see that it says page loading and it is showing the progress bar. So that's all about progress tag. If you want to add short quotations, then you can use the q tag. Let's take an example. So let's say that I want to add, for example, q tag. I'll just say q, and inside this, let's say that I want to say that Bangalore officially known, I think spelling of officially is wrong, officially known as Bengaluru is the capital of Karnataka. And now if I just save it, go to your browser, and you see that it has given double quotation here at start and end. So even you can put this inside a p tag and it will look more proper. Okay, And now you see that it says Bangalore, officially known as Bengaluru, is the capital of Karnataka. So that's a simple example of Q tag. Next, we have a new tag in HTML5, which is called as the RP tag. The RP tag helps the browser to display a text in case the browser does not support the Ruby annotation. The Ruby annotation has characters that needs to be explained, and it is often required to show the pronunciation of these characters. Ruby annotation can help in explaining the characters for the languages spoken in East Asian countries, for example China, Japan, Macau, North Korea, South Korea, etc. The RP tag will be inside the Ruby tag and the RT tag. Let's take an example. So suppose in the browser, if I just say convert English to Chinese, and here let's say I have written hello. Now in Chinese it is ni hao. I hope I spelled it correctly, but you got the idea. Now, so this is the Chinese word, and let's say that what I'm gonna do is, first let me just copy this. Okay, I have just copied it, and here let's say that I'm using Ruby annotation. For this I'll just give Ruby. I'll explain about Ruby annotation. In fact, we are having this tag as well. Here the big advantage of having a RP tag is that you can even display a parenthesis around the text. So let's say that first I'll just give RT tag. So inside the RT tag I'll just say, for example, hello. And now you see here at this moment, if I just go to my browser, you see it is displaying hello, and in fact it is very small at this moment. And let me just go here and I'll use the RP tag. So if you see, I have used RP tag, and inside that I'll just use parenthesis. Alright, again here I'll use RP tag and I'll just use a parenthesis, right? So this is the closing of parenthesis and this is the opening of parenthesis. So if the browser does not support Ruby annotation, then whatever you have inside the RP tag will be displayed to the browser. And in this case, you see here we have opening of parenthesis, then we have hello, and then we have closing of parenthesis, right? And the word for this, I mean the Chinese word is ni hao. I think, again, I don't know whether I spelled it right. So it is ni hao, right? Now here, now if I just show the browser, I mean the output, you see here, this is the output we are getting. First we are having hello, and then we are displaying this Chinese word. Now, if the browser does not support the Ruby annotation, now in my case, I'm using the Chrome browser and it supports Ruby annotation. So whatever browser you're using, if it is not supporting the Ruby annotation, then it will display the text which is present inside the RP tag. So that's all about RP tag. Next, we have RT tag. The RT tag displays or defines the character pronunciation of Ruby annotations. And in the previous example, you see here, in this particular example, we have hello. So we have used hello for defining the character pronunciation of Ruby annotation, and this is the particular Chinese word, and for that I have just given here hello. So in fact, we don't have to take a separate example of RT tag at this moment, and I think this example is a perfect example of RT tag as well. So that's all in RT tag. The next tag which I'm gonna talk about is Ruby tag. The Ruby tag is used for Ruby annotations, and it is newly introduced tag in HTML5. And we know that Ruby tag is used for providing extra information to the browser for East Asian countries' languages, for example Chinese, Japanese, then we have Macau, and then we have North Korean language, South Korean language, and so on. So we know that RP tag is used as a fallback content, and RT tag is the actual content which will be going there, right? And Ruby tag contains both. So you just have to remember that the Ruby tag contains the extra information about these languages. And we have seen this language, I mean this example here, you see we have this particular example where we have a Ruby tag and we are using the RP tag and then the RT tag as well. So RT tag here is having the content hello. So this is the actual content, and the RP tag, you see here, this is the RP tag, and again we have this particular RP tag here. So it will be displayed only when the browser does not support the Ruby annotation, right? And here these two tags, that is RP and RT tags, are present inside the Ruby annotation, I mean Ruby tag, right? So that's all about Ruby tag. If you want to strike through a text that is no longer required, then you can use the S tag. It is similar to del tag. Actually, it was deprecated in HTML4, but it is reconsidered in HTML5, and we have this S tag. Let's take an example. So let's say that if I just give here S, and this is called as S tag, and if I just say, for example, a room without books is like body without a soul. And let's say that I have added here is like human body. And now let's say that I want to strike through the text human, so that I just want to show that it is no longer required. I can just use the S tag, and I can just put this word human inside this, and you see in the output it is showing that I have done mistake somewhere. Let me just check. So in fact it is right. Yeah, here actually I don't have to give S tag. Here it should be the P tag at outside. And now you see here, a room without books is like body without a soul. And what I have done is I have just strike through this word, that is human, because I think that it is no longer required. So that's all about S tag. Next, we have samp tag. The samp tag is a phrase tag which displays the output, that is the sample output of a computer program. Let's take an example. So it's very simple. You just have to give samp, and you can write anything. For example, it describes the sample output from the computer program. Just save it, and you see here that it looks like it is a sample output program. So that's all about samp. Using the client-side script, you can change the behavior of the HTML document. So if you use JavaScript, what you can do is you can use the script tag, using which the JavaScript can be used in your HTML document. In fact, if I just give Control F, let me just check for script, and you see that here we have already used this script tag, and I'll just show you the output here which we got that time. And let me just come back here first, and you see here hello how are you should be displayed. And you see, if I just come up, you see here we have hello how are you. So in fact, JavaScript is a very vast topic, and I'm gonna create a specific, detailed topic on JavaScript. It will be a complete tutorial on JavaScript, and once I'll upload in this particular channel, you'll see that in this particular I button. Alright, so that's all about script tag, and I will not explain in detail because we have already seen this particular script tag when we explained about noscript. And you see here we have given the document.getElement by ID. So we are choosing based on the ID, and here the ID name is test, and we are simply displaying hello how are you. So it is just to change the behavior of your HTML document. Suppose you have related content and you want to relate all these content in such a way that they are present in a particular group. All those related content will be present in one group. Then what you can do is you can use a section tag. Let me just show you. So if I just come down here, let me just first close this, and let's say that I have three content. So I'll just say H2, and I'll just say women empowerment, and under this I have a P tag, and I'll just say something, for example lorem, and again I'll just copy these. I'll just say, for example, instead of, I can see that it is women empowerment, right? And again I'll just copy this, and if I just say, like, for example, instead of women, I'll just say like educational women empowerment. And again, if I just say, for example, let's say H2, and if I just say political women empowerment, and if I just give p tag, and inside this I'll just give lorem. Now you see here, at this moment, these three tags, these three content are related, because this one talks about women empowerment, this one talks about educational women empowerment, and this one talks about the political women empowerment. So if I want to group these related content, what I can do is I can place this inside a section tag. So let me do one thing. So I'll just give section, and let me just copy this particular end section, and I'll keep it here. Right, now you see in the output, now you see that we have this particular output, but the difference is that these contents which are related to each other are grouped in one single group, and this is happening because of this section tag. The next tag we have is select tag. Using the select tag, you can define the drop down list. So if I just give Control F, and if I just give select, you see here that while discussing about optgroup or option tag, we have already used select tab, and when we use select tab, you can see that we can give the label, for example, select country, and I can provide some options inside this particular select tag. So there is no need to add another example of select tag. I think you have got the idea about select tag. So let's talk about next tag. The next tag which I want to talk about is small tag. Using the small tag, you can decrease the font size, and normally you can get one size smaller as compared. Let's take an example. So what I'm gonna do is, here let me just come down, and first let me just add a p tag, and if I just give lorem, and inside this somewhere I'll just do a small tag, and let me just do it properly. And you see here, for some portion I'll just give small tag. Alright, and now you see that if I just save it, let me just go to the browser, and now you see here that that is from this particular word, that is acostanium, right? And you see that these three words are in small size, and they are one size smaller than the original one. So that's all about small tag. To specify the multimedia resources, or to specify the source of multimedia resources like video or audio tag, we can use the source tag. Let's take an example. So here, if I just search for source, you see here we have already used this example when we were discussing about audio tag. And if you remember, what we had done is, if I just copy this, and let me just copy it back here. So here what we did is, like, we wanted to have an audio file, and now I have defined the source. So you see here, using the source tag, I'm just giving the source, that is location, and then type, right? So if I just give Control S, and you see here I've added an audio file, right? So this audio file, what I've done is I've given the source of this particular audio file, and here you can see the source of this particular audio file. Let me just close this, by mistake it got open. Yeah, so here you see we have given the src, where we have to give the location of the file, the name of the file, and then we have to give the type. So that's all about source tag. Let's talk about our next tag, which is called as span tag. The span tag acts as a container for inline elements and contains, and it acts as like a container. So let's say that if you want to change a particular text, so if you have to change a particular text within a group of text, then also you can use the span tag. Let me just show an example. Let's say that here I have an h2 tag, and here if I just say something like this, that is, for example, tutorial brain provides, and if I just say like HTML tutorials, now in the output, now you see here it says tutorial brain provides HTML tutorials, right? Let's say I want to change the color of HTML. So in this particular inline text itself, if I just want to change it, what I can do is here I can just define a span tag, right? So let me do one thing first. Let me just give a span, and I'll just put this HTML inside this. So I'll just say span, and let's say I want to add some style. For example, I'll just add the color. So I can just say color is equal to, let's say, blue, right? And if I just save it, now if I just show you in the output, now you see that we have tutorial brain provides HTML tutorials. So in this way you can use the span tag. If you want to make a particular text as a bold text, and at the same time you want to mark that particular text as important text, then you have to use the strong tag. Let me just show you. So here, let's say that I want to make this tutorial brain in a different way. So let's say that instead of h2 I can just use, like, for example, p tag, and here also I'll just use the ending as p tag. So you see that this is how it is looking at this moment. Now I want to make sure that the word tutorial brain should be in bold, and it is also important. I'll just give a strong tag, okay, and I'll just include this tutorial brain inside this strong tag. Let me just show the output. Now you see that this is bold as well as important. Alright, so that's the difference between the strong tag and bold tag. In bold tag, it will only make the particular phrase as bold without marking it as important. But in case of you're using the strong tag, it will also mark that particular text as important text. Next, we have a very important tag which is called as style tag. So you guessed right. Actually, if you want to add styles to your HTML document, then you can use the style tag. Now using the style tag, you can change the inline CSS or internal CSS. So we are not going to discuss CSS here. In fact, CSS is a vast topic, and I'm going to create a complete tutorial series on CSS, and once it is ready, you will see that in our channel. Let's focus on style tag. So first I'll just show you an example. So here you see that in the last example we had used the style is equal to color and blue. So because of that, you see the text HTML got changed to blue color. In the same way, I can add style. So first, please remember that we are adding style on this particular text, the HTML text, using the span tag there itself. So this is called as inline CSS. But we can also add CSS at start as well. So for example, under the head tag, I can just give style, and here I can change anything. For example, let's say that if I want to add a color or background color for body, I can just give body, and let's say that I want to add background color as, for example, let's say light pink. Yeah, light pink is okay. Let me just save it, and now you see that the background color of the document got changed, right? In the same way, I can do changes to other tags. For example, let's say that I have some tag, let's say for audio control. So for audio, let's keep some other background color, or if you want, you can change the other color. For example, let's say I want to change the canvas color. All right, so I can do that as well, or table color as well. So let's change the table color. All right, so here I'll just say table, and let's say if I just add the color, So I'll just say the color as, for example, let's say lime. Now you see that in my output, let me just show you the table. So where is the table? Where are you? Yeah, this is the table. Now you see that the content inside this is in lime color, right? Even lime color does not suit here. I can change it to dark gray, or dark cyan is also fine, right? And now you see that the color got changed. In the same way, you can add lot of styles using the internal CSS. That means like internal style as well as inline style. So that's all about style here. And in fact, if you want to know complete details about style, we have a complete topic called CSS, that is called as cascading style sheets, and I'm gonna create a complete video on CSS which will be complete from start to end. So if you want to learn CSS, please get tuned and watch our videos, or rather go to playlist, and if the video is ready by then you can watch from the playlist. Alright, so that's all about style tag. The next tag is all about sub tag. The sub tag helps to add a subscript to your code. Normally it is used for scientific and mathematical formulas. For example, if I just come here, let's say that I have some content like this. For example, I have a p tag, and here I have, let's say, H2O is water. And now you see here in the output, it is like H2O is water, and I think it is 0. I have to give H2O. And now let's say that I want to add this like a formula. So what I can do is I can just write something like this, that is H, and after that I'll just give a subscript, and I'll just add here 2. And you see here, if I just go to my output, now you see it says H2O is water. So in the same way, you can add something different. You can add something like this. For example, C2H6O is alcohol, and so on, right? So you can use subscript for these type of purposes. Now let's talk about the summary tag. The summary tag is used inside the details tag to add a summary or heading for that particular details tag, and it must be the child of details tag, and it must be the first line within the details tag. So if you just search for details, you see here we have already used the details tag here, and the first one we have here, the first line is summary tag, where we have given the Dowry Prohibition Act 1961 for India. So it must be the first child of this details tag. Alright, so we have already taken example of summary tag. So let's proceed further, and please note that the summary tag is the new tag introduced in HTML5. Alright, let's proceed further. Let's talk about the SUP tag. It is used for adding superscript, and it is similar to sub tag where we used subscript, but the difference is that there we added subscript and here we are adding superscript, and it is also used for scientific and mathematical formulas. Let me show an example. So if I just come down, let's say that I want to add a formula that is a plus b square is equal to a square plus b square plus 2ab, then I can use that. So what I can do is I can just add a p tag, for example, here, and inside this, let's say that if I just give, for example, a plus b, and inside this what I'll do is I'll just add a sub tag. So I'll just say SUP. Please remember, it is not sub, it is sub, SUP. So sub tag, and I'll just say square, that is 2, right? And I'll just say is equal to a, and again what I'm gonna do is I'll add a SUP tag. So I'll just say SUP. So I'll just say 2, that is a square plus b, and again I'll just use sup, and I'll just say 2, that is a square plus b square, plus I'll just say 2ab, right? So I'll just say 2ab, and now in the output you see it says a plus b square is equal to a square plus b square plus 2ab. So that is how you can use the sub tag. The SVG stands for Scalable Vector Graphics, and if you want to add SVG, then you have to use the SVG tag. So it is a way to add 2D graphics in your HTML document. Let me just show you. For that, what I'll do is I'll just give SVG, and in fact let me just add it manually. So it is a newly introduced tag in HTML5, right? Please remember that. So it is SVG, and here let's say that I will add a particular width. So if I just say width is equal to, let's say, 200, and I'll just say height also as 200. So I've given the width and height as 200, and here let me just add a circle. So I'll just say circle, and let me just add coordinates. So I'll just give cx is equal to 65, let's say, and again let's say cy, that is for y coordinate. So I'll just give cy as also 65, and let's say that I want to add a radius. So I'll just say radius as 50, and at this moment you see here nothing is gonna change much because I have not given the stroke and all. So let me just give stroke is equal to, for example, hot pink, and I'll just give the stroke width. So I'll just give stroke width is equal to, let's say, 10, and I'll just fill it with a particular color. So I'll just give fill color. So fill is equal to, let's say, sky blue. Let me just save it, and if I just show you the output, now you see that I have created a beautiful SVG. So SVG is a vast topic in HTML5, and I'm going to create a separate video on SVG. So if you want to check more about SVG, please check on the description. There will be a link for SVG, or if it is not there in description, it will be there in the I button somewhere here or here. Okay, so that's all about SVG. Next, let's talk about the table tag. In fact, we have already created table in this particular course, and while creating tables, we used the table tag. So if you notice here, I'll just search for table, and you see we have created table, and we use some tags, for example caption, and caption is optional tag, but tr, th and tds are mandatory ones, and in fact you will be having most of the table that it will be containing these tags, for example tr tags, th tags and td tags. In the same way, we have lot of optional tags inside the table tag, for example thead, tbody, tfoot and so on, which we are gonna cover as we move further in this course. Alright, so we have already created the table using the table tag, so there is no need to take another example of table tag. So let's proceed further and go straight to our next tag. And please remember that there are a lot of ways in which you can style the tables, and I'm gonna create another video on tables. So in my HTML tutorial series, so actually this is all about HTML tag series, I mean this particular course, but I'm gonna create another course which will be complete HTML tutorial. There I will be having a separate video on HTML tables itself. So how I can style it, and there are a lot of ways in which you can add tables, you can create tables, you can add rows, and there are a lot of ways. So I'll just show all those in our HTML tables tutorial. Alright, so let us keep this particular course limited to tags only, and let's proceed further and watch our next tag. To group the body content of the table, you can use tbody tag. Let's take an example. So here we have this particular table, let us do one thing. Let's copy this table, or we are gonna change something here itself. So let's say that we have these tr tags, and these are all inside the body tag, right? I mean, these are the real content inside the table, that is either th or tr and so on. So let's say that for heading, that is for th tags, we have thead tags. Similarly, for tr tags, we have tbody tags to group all the tr tags. So for that, I can just give tbody, and let me just change it from here or delete from here and keep here. Now what I want is, you see at this moment there is no change in the table. So if I just show you the table, it must be somewhere here. Yeah, you see here there is no change in the table, but I think we have this canvas, and then after canvas we have this table. So let me just check. Yeah, this is the table I'm talking about. Okay, this is the table, and here we have added tbody. And now what I'm gonna do is, I'll use this tbody tag to add some styles or something like that. So let's say that if I just come here to my style tag, here what I'm gonna do is, I'll just say tbody, and here let me just do something. For example, let's say that I'll just give color is equal to, for example, Dodger blue, right? And now you see here the color should be changed, and let me just do one thing. Let me make it as red, which is, visible. Okay, now I have changed the tbody. So now you see that the color of this particular text is red, right? So in the same way, you can use a lot of features inside this tbody tag. Next, we have td tag to add table data, and you see we have a tr tag, and just inside the tr tag we have to give the td tag to add the data. Let me just show you. So I'll just search for table, and here you see that we have tr, and inside this first we have th. This is for table heading, and then we have tr tag, and here we have td and td again. You see we have added these data, for example Spark, COBOL, and Scala and db2. So in the output you see that we have Spark, Scala, COBOL and db2, and these are coming because of this td tag. So that's all about td tag to know at this moment. Let's talk about the next tag, which is template tag. If you want to hide certain content from your user in your HTML document, then you can use the template tag. And in fact, you can override this behavior as well later on using JavaScript, but we are not going to cover JavaScript at this moment. So let's take an example of template tag. So if I just come down here, let's say that I have a sentence, for example, let's say learn HTML from tutorialbrain.com and explore more. And if I just keep this inside the p tag, let me just copy everything, put it inside the p tag, and now what I can do is I can put everything inside the template. And you see here, if I just put template tag, so I'll just give template. So let me do one thing. If I just give template, and inside this template I'll put this particular paragraph tag, right? Now if I just show you the output, you see here that this particular content is not visible. So let me do one thing. First, let me just remove this template, and now you see that it is visible. Now if I just put this inside template tag, now it is not visible. So that is how you can use template tag. You can create multi-line plain text controls using textarea tag. Let's take an example. So here let me just add a template. I mean not the template, in fact it is textarea. So you see here we have added a textarea, and by default it contains the number of columns and number of rows. So by default it has given me 30. Let me change it to, for example, 40. And rows also I can change to, let's say, like 15 rows, right? And the name of the text area can also be defined. You can also define the ID as well. At this moment I'm not gonna define name and ID. Let me just delete it. So what I'm gonna do is I'll just say, for example, text here, and you can style the text area as well. I'll just leave it to you. And now you see here we have this text area where you can write something. Okay, you see here you can write anything here. So there are a lot of ways in which you can use the text area, but let us keep everything limited here to tags only. So that's all about HTML text area. If you want to group the footer content in your table, then you can use the tfoot tag, and it is used inside the table tag. Let me just show an example. So here first let me just do one thing. Inside the template, or just after the template, I'll just put a br tag so that here my text area comes down. And now what I'm gonna do is I'll just search for table, and let me just check another table, and let's see that I have this particular table. And after that what I'm gonna do is, let's say after this tbody, let's do one thing. What I'll do is, let's say I'm going to add something else, so not outside the tbody. Let me do one thing. I'll just add another tr tag, and inside this tr tag I'll just add td tag, and again I'll add td tag. So here let's say that I want to add, for example, 2000, and here I'll just add 3000. Now if you see the output at this moment, I'll just show the output. So this is the output, that is 2000, 3000. Now what I'm gonna do is, since this is like my footer content, so what I can do is I can just add a tfoot, and I'll keep everything inside the tfoot, I mean the footer content. And now you see that we have this tfoot, right? And for example, let's say that for tfoot, what I want is, let's say for tfoot I want color as, for example, let's say royal blue. Now you see that I have a royal blue color for my footer content. So that's all about tfoot. Next, let's talk about th tag. So to have header related content in your table, you can use th tag, and th tag is mostly used, or in fact it is used inside the tr tag, and we know that tr tag is used for single row. So let's take an example. So if I just search for table, now you see that in this particular table itself we have the th tag here. So inside the tr tag we have th tag, and first is big data, and then we have mainframe. So these are like header content of the table, and for this we have used the th tag. So at this moment there is not much to explain here, so let's proceed further and talk about our next tag. If you want to group all the header related content of your table, then you can use the thead tag. So you have table tag, and then you have list of th tags, and if you want to group all those th tags under one umbrella, then you can use the thead tag. So consider the same example. In this particular table we have the th tag here inside this tr tag, and if I want to group all these, what I can do is I'll just use a thead tag at start. So let me do one thing. I'll take out this, that is tr tag, from here, and I'll just keep it here, and here I'll just add a thead tag, right? So I'll just say thead, and let me just format it properly, right? So we have the thead tag, and inside this we have tr, and then we have th, where we have stored the header information, and if you want you can style using this thead tag itself. So what I'm gonna do is, you see here at this moment it is like this, Let's say that for my heading tag, I want to change the background color. So let's say that for thead, so what I'm gonna do is here I'll just keep something like this, that is thead. I'll just change the color or background color this time. So let's say I want to have a background color, for example, let's say salmon or salmon, whatever it is. Now you see that I've changed the background color. In this way, you can do a lot of stylings if you have a particular grouped content, and directly you can apply changes on your thead tag instead of applying changes to individual tr tags or th tags. If you want to describe the date and time in the HTML5 document, then you can use the HTML5 tag, which is called as time tag. Now, it uses a 24-hour clock to display the time, and this time element encodes date and time in machine readable format. So it is not for the user. Basically, the browser will render it and it will use it for a specific timer and so on. Let's take an example. So here, let's say that if I just give, for example, a p tag, and inside this p tag, first let me add a time tag, or let me add it manually. I'll just say meet at, and then I'll just say this particular time, that is, for example, let's say 04 PM. And if I just add another time, now here I can also add an attribute like date time. So I can just say date time is equal to, for example, 2022 01/18. I'll just say, for example, it is time. Let me format it properly. Or I can just say, for example, with Peter. Now you see here, if I just execute this, or if I just save this, in the output, here it says meet at 4 PM with Peter. Now if you notice, here we also mentioned date time. So it is optional actually. So date time attribute is for browsers. So browser will render it and it will not display to the user at this moment. And normally the browser will use it for search engines or for, timers and so on. Alright, so that's all about time tag. The title tag is used to display the title of the HTML page. Let's understand with an example. So the title tag where you have to keep is, you have the head tag, and you see here we already have this particular title, that is document. And if I just write here, for example, HTML5 tutorial tags, or I can just say HTML5 tags tutorial. Now you see here I have added this as title, and if I just open my browser, now you see in the output at the title bar it is showing HTML5 tags tutorial. So it is basically generating curiosity among the user, and if you have a very good title for your HTML document, then users are more likely to read it. So that is the reason we are using the title tag in HTML for a proper title. So that's all about title tag. Next, we have the tr tag, and tr is used for table row. So if you want to add rows in your tables, then you have to use the tr tag. And if I just show the example, let me just search for table, you would be seeing that we have used the tr tag already. And here you see we have added tr tag, and using the tr tag, either you can add th tag for table head, or you can add the td tag for data description. I mean the data of the particular table column, right? So if I just show you the output, and you already know it, but just to show you again, you see here we have added Spark and COBOL. So what we have done is, you see here we have the tr tag, that is for row, and then we have added this data, that is Spark and COBOL. Similarly, in this particular tr tag we have added the head information, for example big data and mainframe. You see here we have big data and mainframe. So that's all about tr tag in tables. Next, we have a new tag in HTML5, which is called as track tag. Using the track tag, you can add, or rather you can define the time-based text track in your HTML5 document. So let's say that you have a VTT file, and normally it is used to add captions for your video. And let's say that you want to add or describe the caption, or for example you can add subtitles for your video file, or even you can add this for your audio file as well. So let's say that you want to do it. So what you can do is, first, let's say I have a video, so I'll just give video, and I have to just give the source. So first let me do one thing. Instead of adding the source here, first let me just add controls. So I'll just give video controls, and first I'll just give width as, for example, let's say 400, and inside this what I'm gonna do is I'll just give source, and in the source what I'll do is I'll just give the src, and I know that I have a video at this particular location, that is https://www.tutorialbrain.com. then we have editor_html, and forward I have media, then we have video, then we have html5_dog.mp4. So I know that if I just click on this particular location, you see, if I just click on this, I have this particular file. Okay, so I have this file, and what I'm gonna do is I'll just add a particular subtitle for this particular video. So let's say that I have this file as, actually this file is mp4, so I'll just give here type as, for example, video and mp4, right? So I've added the video controls, and then I've added the source. So at this moment you see that this is what I'm having, right? And here you see that we don't have any captions, right? Now if I just come back here, and what I'm gonna do is I'll just add a track tag. So here I'll just give track, and let me just give src first. So I'll just give here src is equal to, so I have to give the source of that particular track, the path where the track is present. So let's say that if you create a VTT file, so VTT is a type of file where you can add the subtitles or captions, okay, and it is a time-based file. So let's say that if I just give this particular path, okay, or I can just add till here, and what I can do is I'll just give here subtitles_en.vtt, and I'll just define the attribute called kind, so it is like subtitles, right? So I'll just give here subtitles, and the language I'll just define as src lang, that is source language, is equal to, I'll just give English, and I can also define label, so I'll just give label as English. And now you see here, let's say that if I just click on this particular link, and you see that this is the VTT file I have already created, okay, so this VTT file is already present in my server. And now you see here, if I just come here, I can just copy the same track, and I'll just paste it here, and I already have another one, that is we have a French VTT as well. So I'll just give here src lang, it is not src land, sorry for that, and instead of English it will be French, and here it will be fr. Alright, and I'll just add a fallback content. So normally fallback content is the content which will be displayed to the browser when your browser does not support a particular tag. So in this case, let's say that your browser does not support the video tag, then the fallback content will be visible to the user. So here what I'll do is I'll just say HTML5 video tag is not supported in your browser, okay, and let me just save it. And if I just click on this particular tag, you see that this is the VTT file I have in French, right? This is English one, and I have this particular media file, right? And now you see, if I just save it, I think we have already saved it, but now you see, if I play this particular video, I have the captions and I have English as well as French options. I'll just show you again. See here, we have English as well as French options, right? So this is how you can add captions using the track tag. Now let's talk about U-tag. Earlier in HTML4, U-tag was used for underlining a text. Now in HTML5, it is used to check for misspelled words or misspelled text. Let's take an example. Let me just come down here, and before that, first let me just close these two, or let me just keep it open, not a problem. And now here, let me just give, for example, this is a wrong. Instead of this wrong, I'll just give like wrong text. Okay, and here I'll just give a p tag, and let me just put everything inside this p tag. Now what I'll do is, for this WROGN, since this is a misspelled word, what I'll do is I'll just give here U tag, and here I'll just put it inside this particular text. If I just show you the output, you see it says this is wrong text. So this is in fact misspelled word, and using the U tag I have denoted it. Next we have UL tag. UL tag is used for unordered list, and we have already taken an example of ordered list and unordered list. So if I just show you, if I just search for UL, now you see here in this particular example we had UL tag where we added some list of items, right? And unordered list is like bulleted list, and if I just show you the output, you see here, if I just come up, this is how the UL tag will look like. Okay, so we have long grain and all those. So let me just copy this first, and I can just show you exactly where we used. So you see here we have used the UL tag, and inside this we have 4 lists of items, and we have given the data value name also, that is 1, 2, 3, 4 and so on, right? And even this particular value name is also not required. So if I just show you here, you see these values, that is 1, 2, 3, 4 is also not visible in the browser, right? So in the UL, the simple way is that you can just give, like, instead of data value, you can just give long grain and all those. I mean, my main intention is to show you is that when you use UL tag, it is like an unordered list, unlike OL tag, which is for ordered list. Next, we have var tag. As the name suggests, it is used to create a variable for mathematical operations. So let's take an example. So suppose here what I'm going to do is, let's say that I'm going to use the var tag first. So let's say that first I have this p tag, and if I just say, for example, find the value of y in, and let's use a variable. So I'll just say var, and inside this var I'll just say 11y, and again I'll just copy this. So 11y minus, again I'll just say minus 10, or directly what I can do is I can just write here, for example, minus 10 is equal to 12 plus, let's say I can just give here 15y. If you just see the output, it is just showing the find the value of y in 11y minus 10 is equal to 12 plus 15y. So this is how you can use the var tag. Next, let's talk about video tag. Using the video tag, you guessed it right, that we can add videos in your HTML document. Let's understand this. So we know that already we have used the video controls here when we were talking about the track tag. So I'm going to use the same example, and what I'm going to do this time is I'll just remove the track. It's not required at this moment. And now you see here that we have video controls. We have added the width. If you want, you can also add height as well. So I'll just say height is equal to, let's say, 500. And I've given the location of this particular video, and using the source tag I've given the location and with src attribute, and then I've given the type as mp4 because this is mp4 file, right? If I just click on save button, now in the browser you see here, this is what we are getting. Okay, this is what we are getting. And if you want, you can change the height to, let's say, like 350. And if I just save it, now you see the output getting changed. 1 minute. Let me just close this, and here let me just come back, open the live server again, and I think I have saved it now. Now you see here that the height is also changed, so you can play ahead with video tag. So if you want to master all these tags, for example video tag, audio tags, in a complete detailed manner, then I'll be creating a complete video on HTML5 and you can watch there. Alright, so let's proceed further. The last tag in this particular tutorial series is a new tag in HTML5, and it is called as WBR tag. It is used for word break. Let's say that you have a long text. For example, let's say I have a p tag, and if I just say the text inside this is given to show the, and after that what I'm gonna do is, let me just do one thing. By mistake I think we got this space. Alright, so to show the, and then we'll just give here WBR. Alright, and here I'll just give, after WBR we'll just give in HTML. Let's say again, if I just give HTML, again if I just give in HTML, in HTML, in HTML, and so on. And now you see, if I just remove extra spaces, now I'll just show you in the output. Now you see it says the text inside this is given to show that this particular text is there. Now it is a word break opportunity. Now it is not going to break now. You see here I should be having a very long word, so I'll just write something. For example, you see some dummy text, or I'll just say lorem. Okay, in fact lorem is not working here, so I'll just keep on adding some dummy text. Okay, and now let me just save it. In the output, now again it is not completely here, so let me do one thing. First let me add more. So first let me add something, and here you see that after kj there is a word break. So what I've done is I've just given here that after kj there should be a word break. Now let's say that I want to word break at this particular location. Then what I'll do is I'll just take out this WBR and I'll just put it here, and if I just save it, now you see that after this particular L there is a word break. Alright, so it is up to you where you want to have word break in case if you have a very long text. So with this we have covered all the tags in HTML5, and I hope you would have got all the information you were looking in HTML5 tutorial with respect to tags. Of course, we are going to have another video on complete HTML5 tutorial with lot of examples, and once I upload that video you can check out that particular video as well. But in this case, if you like the video, please hit on the like button. Please subscribe to the channel so that you do not miss any future updates, because I'm gonna create a lot of technical videos. And with this, what I want from you is, like, if you gained some knowledge from this video, please share this video, and I would like you to comment whatever information you have, or let's say that if you're facing some difficulties, please comment on this particular video so that we can discuss further. And I want to develop, or I want to rather build a community of like-minded people, wherein if you have any doubt, let's say that if I can help you in some way, definitely I'll try in my free time and I'll try to help you out. So that's it about HTML5 all the tags I have covered, and that's all. Keep practicing, and I hope you learned a lot. Thank you guys. Thanks for your time and energy.
Hold me close till I get up. Time is barely on our side.